101. The two girls' surprise with Zhao Wuji finally avenged and killed by her own hands. The dark depression and obsession that had haunted Duanxin evaporated completely. She felt lighter and happier than she had in years. That night, in the top-floor suite of a luxury couple's hotel in Suotuo City, she celebrated that joy with Yu Qing without reservation. She even took the initiative to assume her dragon girl form, an appearance that still stunned Yu Qing, and the two of them engaged in a fierce dragon night bout. From dusk until the sky grew pale, they fought hard. When the clouds thinned and the rain eased, they finally withdrew. Duanxin lay splayed against Yu Qing's firm chest, her cheeks still flushed, eyes bright with satisfaction. She traced lazy circles on his chest with a slender finger, and with a smug, delighted tone, teased, "Heh, husband, I'll use this form more often now to harmonize with you. Let's see who still dares to call me scum in battle, especially Sister Ru." Yu Qing laughed and flicked her smooth forehead with fond helplessness. Do you have nothing else on your mind but this?" Shot him an adorable glare and protested mock-righteously. "Clearly you enjoyed it too, husband. Just now, I don't even know who was so." She turned red and fell silent, too embarrassed to continue. Zirui, who had woken earlier and watched them quietly, covered her mouth to giggle. "Husband," she said gently, "I've noticed. You're getting less and less resistant to this yin-yang harmonization, aren't you?" Yu Qing's face warmed. He cleared his throat to save face. "Well, cough, doing it once in a while is good for both body and mind." "Yes, for body and mind." The two women burst into laughter, rolling their eyes at him in unison. After the teasing died down, Duanxin's smile settled into something more serious. She looked up at Yu Qing and asked a question that had been bothering her for a long time. "Husband, Sister Rui and I killed Zhao Wuji, and Dean Flender clearly hates us. Why didn't we get rid of him too to stop future trouble? Leaving him around feels like a hidden danger." Yu Qing didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked back, "Do you think Flender or any underlings he could find can threaten us?" Both Duanxin and Zirui shook their heads at once. With Yu Qing's unfathomable strength, whose true limits they still didn't know, there were only a handful of people on the continent who could pose a real threat. They themselves had been promoted to Spirit Saint, had top-tier spirits and spirit souls, and with Yu Qing's resources and dual cultivation support, becoming titled Douluo was almost certain. Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor could only grow stronger with their hosts. Sister Aru was already a super Douluo, and Dugu Bo was on the verge of a breakthrough. Flender's chance of successful revenge was effectively zero. Yu Qing smiled but kept the real reason to himself. He had deliberately left Flender and Shrek Academy untouched for the sake of a variable named Tang San, someone not yet born who would inevitably enter Shrek Academy. He wanted the broad strokes of the future plot to unfold so he could better control events later. Once he reached divine rank and his wives were strong enough to challenge the Asura god and the sea god, he planned to crush that so-called protagonist and wipe out every potential threat. "Don't worry too much about it," Yu Qing said, changing the subject. "It's almost dawn. Let's talk about lighter things." He held his two wives close, enjoying the warmth and calm, and they chatted about plans and cultivation insights until the sky brightened. Then the three of them went together to the bathroom, washed in the big bathtub, changed into fresh clothes, and left the hotel in high spirits, heading north toward the sunset forest. The journey was long. To pass time and familiarize the new spirit souls with their surroundings, Duanxin and Zirui took Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor out of their spirit rings again. The mini Ember Dragon perched on Duanxin's shoulder, and the pocket-sized cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor settled in Zirui's hair bun. Both regarded Yu Qing and the two women with strange, almost disbelieving eyes that said they had seen something that overturned their understanding. Yu Qing's senses were keen. He noticed immediately and asked with amusement, "What's wrong? Why are you looking at us like that? Do we have flowers on our faces?" Ember Dragon hesitated, flapped its small wings, and finally asked in a metallic, puzzled voice, "I can't quite understand. Do human partners all share like this? You can share and even perform that kind of deep communication together." It groped for words, bewildered, still feeling the aftershocks of Qing and the other's intense cultivation from the night before. Duanshin burst out laughing and, generous as ever, answered plainly. Little Ember, your thoughts are dirty. That wasn't just ordinary communication. It's a high-level and highly effective cultivation method called yin-yang harmonization. Hubby is supreme yang, and we are supreme yin. Only through yin and yang's fusion can we increase our cultivation faster. Cultivating together saves time. Ember Dragon nodded, partly understanding yet still amazed. So that's it. Humans are incredible. Even your cultivation methods are so unique. Zirui added softly, and this special technique is only mastered by Hubby across the whole continent. Other spirit masters still have to slowly accumulate spirit power through traditional methods. As they traveled, the three humans, one dragon and one flower fairy, chatted. Qing told anecdotes about the continent and explained the spirit master world, while Duanshin and Zirui shared cultivation insights and stories of their time with Qing. Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor gradually relaxed and began to fit into the odd little group. On the way, Qing asked about Duanshin's Dragon Girl form and learned it was an advanced spirit possession state she'd reached after absorbing the Ember Dragon's spirit soul and promoting to Spirit Saint. Her spirit had undergone a beneficial mutation, and this form let her fully unleash her Dragon Clan bloodline, granting a short-term combat power far beyond her rank, a killer trump card. Once we get back, Qing pondered, you should try cultivating the Heavenly Dragon transformation. It will further purify your dragon blood and strengthen your Dragon Clan battle body, making your Dragon Girl form even more formidable. Really? Duanshin lit up. Then, eyes bright, she asked the question on her mind. Hubby, in the future can we use the yin-yang power from dual cultivation to directly increase the age of our spirit rings? She was almost obsessed with raising the ring's age. Of course, Qing said. Now that your spirit foundations are stable and strong after multiple refinements and feedback from the spirit-soul contracts, you can decide whether to use yin-yang power to raise your spirit power rank or to increase the age of your spirit rings, depending on the situation. Their spirits had, under the influence of Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor, already reached top-tier quality, so there was no urgent need to use yin-yang power to improve spirit quality. After about a month of travel, during which they stopped in the Heavendo Empire and indulged in another round of special cultivation, they finally returned to the Sunset Forest. Each time those sessions occurred, Ember Dragon and the Flower Emperor would quietly hide back in their rings and shut down their senses to avoid being shocked by scenes too intense for their pure souls. I'm finally back, Duanshin sighed, stretching and displaying the relaxed, coming-home smile of someone who'd had a perfect trip. She'd contracted a spirit soul, advanced to Spirit Saint, and gotten her revenge. Just as Qing was about to take the two women into the forest and return to the ice and fire yin-yang. Well, Duanshin and Zirui exchanged smiles and unexpectedly pulled him back. Husband, go back on ahead, Duanshin giggled. Eh? Qing blinked. Aren't you coming together? Sister Rui and I still have a little matter to handle, Duanshin said mysteriously, batting her eyes. Zirui smiled gently. Husband, head back to the ice and fire yin-yang well and wait for us. We'll be back soon. Qing was surprised. What is it? Why so mysterious? Can't you tell me? Duanshin leaned in close, her breath fragrant, voice seductive. It's a surprise. Just wait at home obediently with anticipation. We promise you'll be shocked. Zirui's eyes curved into crescent moons. We've been preparing this surprise for a very long time. Seeing their proud, genuine smiles, Qing didn't press further. He nodded and reminded them to be safe. All right, come back early. We will. Don't worry, husband, they chimed, then hugged him deeply. Hand in hand, humming a cheerful tune, they turned and walked away in a different direction, toward Heavendo City, it seemed. What are those two up to? Qing chuckled and shook his head, but he wasn't worried. With their current strength as spirit saints, and with Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor guarding them, they were safe inside the Heavendew Empire, as long as they didn't provoke top-tier titled Douluo. Qing reached toward the Void Realm, gripped the space, and peeled it apart. A silver tier in the air opened like a curtain, and through it, He could faintly feel the unique energy of the ice and fire yin-yang well. Space travel had become easier as his strength and understanding of spatial power increased. He stepped through, and the crack closed behind him. Moments later, he appeared by his small grave house at the yin-yang well. "I'm back," he murmured, pushing open the door. The house was quiet. There was no enthusiastic pounce from Aru, and no lazy, seductive greeting from Fox Consort. Yu Qing's mental force swept the area. Neither Aru nor Fox Consort were present. Strange. Where did they go? He went to find Douluo. In his little hut filled with herbs, old Poison stared blankly at a bubbling cauldron. "Old Douluo," Yu Qing asked, "where are Aru and Fox Consort? Why aren't they here?" Douluo didn't look up. "I don't know. Not long after you left, the two of them slipped away together. Very mysterious. They didn't say where they were going." "How long have they been gone?" Yu Qing asked. Douluo stroked his beard. "About 4 months. Pretty much as soon as you left, they packed up and left." 4 months, Yu Qing frowned. That was a long absence. "Did they say where?" "No." Douluo shook his head again. "I had to help take care of those 2 precious disciples of yours back then. I couldn't babysit them all the time. If they wanted to go, I couldn't stop them." His tone was mildly helpless. Yu Qing thought a moment and decided not to worry. Aru was powerful, and Fox Consort had reached maturity. Nothing major should have happened. He asked instead about Ling Xin and Ling Mao. "Those 2 little girls? They're doing great." Douluo broke into a rare smile. "They cultivate hard and progress quickly, but recently, people from Spirit Hall came looking for them." "Were they trying to recruit them?" Yu Qing's eyes flickered. "Yes." Douluo's expression grew odd. This time their attitude was surprisingly polite. They only asked if the girls would study at the Spirit Hall Academy. After being refused, they didn't resort to force. Instead, they left many gifts and spoke of making friends. It wasn't Spirit Hall's usual overbearing style. Yu Qing considered this. They probably saw Ling Xin and Ling Mao's potential for overlimit spirit ring absorption and want to learn the method through conciliation. Besides, with you, the poisoned Douluo, behind them, Spirit Hall wouldn't dare use force until they're sure what's going on. Douluo nodded. "That makes sense. They fear my poison, sure, but more than that, they probably fear the mysterious power that could be backing them. Who wouldn't hesitate to approach geniuses like that?" "That's fine for now," Yu Qing said with a smile. "As long as they don't get aggressive, we can enjoy some peace." After a few more words, Yu Qing returned to his hut. The moment he opened the door, a purple figure darted into his arms like a swallow returning to its nest. "Husband, you're finally back." Purple Pearl looked up with purple eyes full of longing. "It's been a whole 4 months. You'll have to make it up to me. Tonight, you belong to me alone." She rubbed her full chest against his arm, making her meaning clear. Yu Qing felt heat rise at the sensation and laughed, gathering her in his arms. "All right. Tonight, I'll compensate my little Pearl properly." He scooped her up and carried her to the bedroom. Soon they indulged in a long-awaited yin-yang harmonization. After the clouds of passion settled, Purple Pearl lay in his arms, flushed and content. After resting a moment, she grew restless again and wriggled against Yu Qing, coquettish and hopeful. "Husband, shall we do yin-yang conjunction again for some deep cultivation?" Yu Qing lightly pinched her pert nose. "What's the rush? Weren't you planning to cultivate with the others?" Purple Pearl's face fell for an instant. She pouted. "I just want to break through to rank 70 quickly. Then I can contract a powerful spirit soul like Sister Xin and Sister Rui." Her voice grew softer, tinged with envy and urgency. Yu Qing felt equal parts amused and sympathetic. "Silly girl, why the hurry? You're only 18 and already at rank 65. That growth rate is already prodigious, faster than many across the continent. Build a firm foundation, take it slow, and you'll achieve even more. I promise, when you reach rank 70, I'll find the most suitable and powerful spirit soul for you." Reassured by his gentle words, Purple Pearl relaxed. She thought it over and agreed. He was right. She was already the youngest and fastest among the sisters and had no reason to be anxious. I'll listen to husband." Her sweet smile returned as she curled into his arms and let the longing for immediate breakthroughs pass, enjoying instead the warmth and peace she had long missed. 102. Mizuno Scent and Mizuno Tsuki. inside the ice and fire yin-yang wing. Well, Yu Qing lounged on a soft divan, enjoying a rare moment of peace. One arm was looped around Purple Pearl's slender, springy waist. His other hand rested casually atop her formidable assets. Purple Pearl's cheeks flushed a delicate rose. Her eyes shone like rippling water. Far from resisting, she brimmed with quiet pride, thinking smugly that aside from elder sister Shin's off-the-charts proportions, hers were the ones her husband loved best. Sister Rue and the fox consort were fine, she conceded, but they were a step below. As for Sister Rui, no contest. The two of them whiled away the hushed, sensuous afternoon as if the clamorous outside world did not exist. Yet hundreds of li away, in Heaven Do City, a crucial plan for expanding their circle was quietly taking shape. West Heaven Do, outside a secluded, tastefully arranged villa. Duanxin and Zirui stopped in front of a tightly shuttered gate and exchanged a look. "It's been so long. I wonder if Wuxiang and Wuyue are still here?" Duanxin asked uncertainly. Their trip had run long because of contracted spirit souls and settling scores. Zirui considered a moment and shook her head. They should be. Their family's been hounding them about marriage. Knowing them, they wouldn't give in easily. Hiding here is the quietest option. My guess is they're still inside. That makes sense. Duanxin nodded and stepped forward to rap the bronze knocker. 3 crisp knocks echoed down the quiet lane. A moment later, light footsteps approached and the gate creaked open a crack. A petite, wary face peered out, about 17 or 18, blue-violet hair tied in playful twin tails, a round, cherubic face like an unhatched egg, and crystalline amethyst eyes full of spirit. When she recognized them, caution melted into delight. "Oh, it's you two, Elder Sister Shin, Elder Sister Ruyi," she squealed, flinging the gate wide. "I thought you'd forgotten us. Has it been ages?" Sorry, Zirui smiled. "We had urgent matters outside Heaven Do. It took longer than expected." "Heh, Big Sis said if you didn't come back, we'd have to go home and face those awful matchmaking dinners," the girl chimed, stepping aside. "Relax. We keep our word. We promised we'd come. No backing out." Duanxin thumped her chest. The ripple of her curves made Wei glance down at her own more restrained figure and pout with a flash of envy. Wei led them through an artful front courtyard into an inner hall. A cool, snow lotus scent greeted them. By the window stood a woman, tall and willowy, waterfall-smooth aqua hair cascading down her back, skin whiter than snow and almost luminous in the slanting light. Her features were exquisitely carved, but she carried an untouchable chill, as if an iceberg had been given a human face. This was Shui Wuxiang, Wuyue's elder sister. Hearing footsteps, Wuxiang turned slowly. Her ice-blue eyes swept over the 3 newcomers. At the sight of Duanxin and Zirui, a faint flicker passed through them before composure returned. Her voice was cool and melodic. "Long time no see. Please sit." "It really has been a while," Zirui replied. She and Duanxin took seats opposite Wuxiang. Wuyue perched obediently at her sister's side. Small talk about recent events and rumors warmed the air, aided by Zirui's gentle words and Wuyue's bright chatter. At last, with a seemingly casual shift, Duanxin steered the conversation to its true purpose. Zirui's smile faded into seriousness. "Wuxiang, Wuyue, do you remember what we mentioned last time about spirit evolution?" The words froze the room. A sharp light flared in Wuxiang's placid eyes. She straightened and fixed her gaze on Zirui. "What you said then was true? You really have a way to evolve our spirits?" Her voice was cool but urgent. Wuyue's amethyst eyes shone with barely contained hope. Duanxin and Zirui met their stares and smiled, but instead of answering, Zirui lifted her right hand. A deep, powerful ripple of spirit power flowed from her palm, and an extraordinary plant-type spirit began to materialize. It was no longer the plain purple cloud vine they remembered. Now it was regal and vast, a nebula-purple, gold-veined vine studded with countless tiny star-like flecks. Its leaves seemed inlaid with galaxies. Its vines were traced with mysterious golden patterns. Its form and aura felt like a different world entirely. "What is that?" Shui Wuyue clapped her hand to her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief. She remembered Zirui's spirit from the Grand Continental High-Rank Spirit Master Tournament. Troublesome, but never anything like this. Shui Wuxiang, who had remained seated, felt her pupils contract. For the first time, astonishment cut through her usual frost. She could sense that this spirit had surpassed high tier, perhaps even reached the top tier. Could this really be evolution? As you can see, Zirui said quietly but firmly, my spirit, Purple Cloud Vine, has evolved into the nebula Purple Emperor Vine. The sisters were still reeling when Duanqin suddenly rose, grinning. Then, with a boom, a scorching, ancient draconic might erupted and warped the air. Behind her, the phantom of a majestic crimson-scaled dragon, wreathed in white gold flame, rose silently, its pure draconic pressure sending an instinctive shiver through the room. The Shuai sisters' lineage carried the Luan bird. Even top-tier flyers, they were strongly suppressed by such raw draconic majesty. A true dragon spirit, Wuya cried, trembling. Shui Wuxiang sucked in a sharp breath. Horror and astonishment contended on her face. Duanxin's former crimson flame dragon lizard had never radiated this level of pure draconic pressure. This evolution felt like a rebirth. For generations, the Shui family had longed for a water and ice mutation that would lead to the legendary top-tier ice phoenix. They had intermarried widely to combine superior ice bloodlines and yet found little success. Now, faced with two living examples of successful evolution, the sisters' buried yearning and obsession flared like tinder. Sister, it's true. They really did it. Wu Yue seized her elder's arm, voice quavering. Wu Shang forced herself calm and met them with burning eyes. Tell us, how? If our spirits can evolve, we'll pay any price. We'll do anything for you. Her tone brooked no refusal. Duanxin and Zirui exchanged a satisfied glance. This was exactly the reaction they had hoped for. Zirui's expression remained serene. We can tell you the method, but you must swear, by your spirits, that you will never reveal anything about spirit evolution to anyone in the Shui family without our permission. Can you do that? The sisters exchanged a look and nodded without hesitation. Compared to nebulous marriage arrangements, a real path to power was irresistible. We can swear. Very well, Zirui said. About 3 years ago, we met a man, a scholar whose understanding of spirits is unrivaled. His name is Qing. That's right, my husband, Duanxin added, affection evident in her voice. He has a unique theory and method for guiding spirits to a higher level. Under his guidance, we evolved. And there's more, Zirui continued, dropping another bombshell. With his help, our cultivation of spirit power has also exceeded normal imagination. Care to guess what rank we've reached? Wu Yue cocked her head. Spirit Emperor? Going from Spirit Ancestor to Spirit Emperor in 3 years would already be incredible. Wuxiang was more cautious. Peak Spirit Emperor would be the limit. 10 or 12 ranks in 3 years was unheard of to them. Duanxin and Zirui exchanged a sly smile and then released their spirit rings. Light and spirit power poured into the room. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black, black. 7 spirit rings rose, each radiating vast spirit power. The sight hit the Shui sisters like lightning. A spirit saint? Wu Yue's voice cracked. 7 rings, impossible. From spirit ancestor to spirit saint in 3 years. That's over 20 ranks. It can't be. Wu Xiang's composure shattered. She demanded, could Mr. Yu Qing have used some forbidden art that burns potential and life to push you so fast? Of course not, Duanxin snapped. My husband would never stoop to such means. His method is safe and stable, no side effects. Not only that, she pointed proudly at the 3 deep black rings hovering by her feet. He has also mastered the method of limit-breaking spirit ring absorption. Want to guess the ages of my 5th, 6th, and 7th rings? Wu Yue stared at the jet-black rings whose energy went beyond ordinary 10,000-year spirit rings. Swallowing, she ventured. 15,000? 30? 50? She'd already pushed as high as she dared. Wrong. Guess higher. Duanxin chided, relishing their shock. Wu Xiang drew a sharp breath and offered her boldest estimate. Could they be 20, 40, 60,000 years? Duanxin and Zirui smiled again. Duanxin cleared her throat, as casually as one might remark on the weather, and said, they're 20,000, 40,000, and 70,000 years. Silence crashed into the room. The 2 sisters were frozen, eyes wide and mouths slack. 20, 40, 70,000, the numbers smashed their understanding of what was possible. This was no longer just a miracle, it was something divine. After a long moment, Wuxiang managed to speak, voice hoarse. Everything you said is true? Mr. Yu Qing can really do this? Absolutely, Zirui answered solemnly. Then Wuxiang pressed on, voice steadying. What must we pay to gain his help? Simply joining you? Zirui smiled, but there was unmistakable finality in her words. No, To receive my husband's full, unreserved aid, you must become his wives. Wives? Wu Yue burst out, stunned. You two are already married to Mr. Hap. You Qing? Of course, Duan Xin declared proudly. He's our dearest, greatest, most amazing husband in the world. The sisters exchanged a look of shock and hesitation. Two women sharing one husband? Wu Xiang murmured, incredulous. This went against everything they had been taught. Zi Rui dropped another bombshell. And mind you, my husband has more than just the two of us. At present, Duan Xin added, counting on her fingers, including us, husband has 5 wives. Each of them is supremely talented, with a top-tier spirit, or one evolved to that level, and strength far above their peers. If you want your spirits to evolve, to undergo limit-breaking spirit ring absorption, to walk a path no one has before, then the sooner you join us, the better. Her tone was coaxing, as if offering a priceless treasure. The news landed like a final hammer blow. On one side stood ingrained tradition and family expectations, the reluctance to share a husband. On the other, the irresistible lure of spirit evolution, the miracle of limit-breaking spirit ring absorption, and the chance to leap to the peak. The sisters fell silent, heads bowed and brows knitted, locked in the fiercest struggle of their lives. Only their quickened breathing filled the hall as Duan Xin and Zi Rui watched with faint, knowing smiles, as if everything were already decided. 103. Duan Xin, Zi Rui's true thoughts. Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuyue thought it over for a long time, but in the end, they couldn't resist the promise of rapid cultivation and spirit evolution. They agreed to become Yu Qing's wives. All right, Shui Wuxiang said. We'll become your wives, but you have to guarantee our spirit power and spirits will improve and evolve as fast as yours. Duan Xin and Zi Rui exchanged smiles. That's a given, they assured them. With that, the Shui sisters packed their things and set out on the journey with Duan Xin and Zi Rui. At the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well, Yu Qing sat in a pavilion opposite his 2 fathers-in-law, Father Duan and Father Zi, listening to a report on the recent developments in the Yin-Yang sect. Son-in-law, Father Zi said, his voice trembling with excitement and gratitude, it's all thanks to the miraculous medicinal baths and nourishing recipes you gave us. The results this time for the children reaching spirit awakening age are incredible. 2/3 of them reached an innate soul power of level 5 or above. The rest, at worst, are level 3. This is unprecedented. My Z family, no, our entire Yin-Yang sect finally has hope. He looked at Yu Qing with reverence. Yu Qing smiled modestly. Father-in-law overstates it. This is only the foundation. The real work is in their subsequent training. I suggest keeping an eye on orphanages everywhere and bringing any unawakened orphans into the sect, putting resources into them. They will be the cornerstones of our future. Good, good. Son-in-law is thorough, Father Zi said, nodding. I'll make arrangements at once. Yu Qing turned to Father Duan. He noticed the man's ruddy complexion and steady breath, subtle signs that his spirit power had improved. A teasing smile curved Yu Qing's lips. Father-in-law, have you been cultivating recently? Are you pleased with the effects of the dual cultivation secret codex? Father Duan's face flushed. He coughed, slightly embarrassed, but smiling with genuine satisfaction. Ahem. Son-in-law, this codex is indeed extraordinary. My wife's and my spirit power have both increased, and our relationship is, more harmonious. He still sounded sheepish, but the benefit was real. Yu Qing nodded. That's good. Just remember, cultivation requires moderation. Don't sacrifice your foundation for a moment's pleasure. A steady stream is the righteous path. Understood, understood, Father Duan replied quickly. After seeing off the 2 fathers-in-law, Yu Qing walked into the garden behind the house. 2 chubby little figures tumbled across the padded grass like New Year painting dolls, wobbling as they chased each other and squealing with bright bell-like laughter. These were his and Aru's children, Dragon Yu and Sandalwood Yu. At the sight of their father, they hurried over on short legs and clung to his pant legs, looking up with milky voices. Daddy hug? Yu Qing's heart melted. He bent down and scooped one child into each arm, kissing their soft cheeks. Though they had not yet awakened their spirits, the treasures they'd enjoyed in the womb had already given them a very solid innate foundation. Their bodies were healthy and robust, on par with some spirit masters just getting their first spirit ring, and their little limbs kicked with surprising strength. My good little treasures, Yu Qing laughed, spinning them gently in the garden and savoring the domestic happiness. When his children began to yawn, he handed them to a maid to nap and went to check on his two disciples, Ling Xin and Ling Mao. Later, he found Xiao Wu and Dugu Yan playing together. He picked up each of the little girls and sat on a swing, telling fairy tales while probing lightly with his mental force. Xiao Wu, 100,000-year spirit beast in human form, needed no comment. Her foundation was deep and her physical strength exceptional. When she completed her transformation, her first spirit ring would likely be at least a 1,000-year ring. Dugu Yan, after long purification through the power of life, medicinal cuisine, and medicinal baths, had recovered from the erosion of the jade phosphor serpent poison. Her toxin production had slowed significantly, and her body had strengthened. She was ruddy, energetic, and far healthier than before. Yu Qing thought to himself, after Yan Yan awakens at 6, I'll give her the Earth Dragon Golden Gourd to fundamentally evolve the jade phosphor serpent spirit and solve the toxin backlash. Then I'll use a weakened version of the 10 complete great nourishment meal to consolidate her foundation and strengthen her body. I'll aim for her first spirit ring to be the equivalent of over 600 years. It was a bold plan, but not impossible for him. At dusk, he sent a sleepy Dugu Yan back to Dugubo's residence and explained his plan. The old poisoned Douluo's emerald eyes welled with complex tears. He grabbed Yu Qing's shoulder and, voice rasping with emotion, said, "Madman Yu Qing, I don't know how to thank you. For Yan Yan to take you as her teacher, it's the greatest blessing of her life." Usually eccentric and moody, Dugubo choked up. He cherished his granddaughter more than anything. Yu Qing answered sincerely, "Old poison, Yan Yan is my disciple. I'll do everything in my power to pave the best path for her. Her future won't be less than Ling Xin and Ling Mo's." Dugubo only nodded, unable to put his gratitude into words. He looked up at the darkening sky with eyes full of expectation. Yu Qing remembered another matter and asked, "By the way, old man Dugu, about that thing I mentioned, have you found any leads?" He meant the Tao companion Dugubo had been searching for. Dugubo's face colored. He stroked his beard awkwardly. "Ahem, don't worry, I have it under control. I already have a candidate in mind. I won't let you down, kid." His voice was embarrassed but hopeful. Yu Qing smiled and left it at that. Back at his peculiar grave mound house, Yu Qing pushed the door open and a purple figure leapt into his arms like a swallow returning to its nest. Purple Pearl looked up with a pretty expectant face. Her violet eyes sparkled. "Husband, you're back. Busy day. Are you tired? Do you want me to help you relax?" She rubbed herself teasingly against him. The warmth and softness eased his fatigue. He kissed her smooth forehead. "All right, then I'll trouble my little Pearl to give her husband a good relaxation." Just as they were about to indulge in some intimate yin-yang harmonization, the bedroom door creaked open. Yu Qing and Purple Pearl paused and turned. Duan Xin and Zirui stood in the doorway, travel-stained but radiant, with a proud, expectant look. Behind them were two unfamiliar young women in water-blue robes, graceful and striking. One was cold and clear as ice, with blue hair like a waterfall and exquisite, otherworldly features. The other was charming and lively, with purple-blue eyes full of curiosity and a nervous smile. Both were beautiful, at least 85 points, Yu Qing guessed. "Shiner, Rui, you're back?" Yu Qing said, surprised. His gaze fell on the two strangers. And these two? Duan Xin and Zirui glanced at one another and smiled, asking for praise with their expressions. Duan Xin stepped forward, giggling as she leaned against Yu Qing and whispered in his ear, "Hey, husband, they're the surprise we told you about. How about that? Surprised? Unexpected?" Yu Qing stared. He looked at the two newcomers, then at his wives, who clearly wanted credit for this. He rubbed his brow, amused and helpless. Had his wives been a bit too proactive in helping their husband take in new ones? Zirui took his other arm and murmured softly, "Husband, they're the Shui family's direct-line young misses. Their talent, spirits, and looks are all top tier. They're of suitable age. If you find them pleasing, you could get to know them. I'm sure they're willing." Yu Qing's brow twitched. He breathed in, steadying himself, and looked back at the two women, who looked nervous. "Shiner and Rui, did you tell them everything about me?" he asked gently. Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuyue both blushed and lowered their heads before nodding shyly, like startled deer. "Tell me your names," Yu Qing said. Shui Wuxiang, the blue-haired woman answered softly, her voice like ice beads on a jade plate, clear and tense. "I am Shui Wuyue," the purple blue-haired girl added, her voice livelier but trembling as well. Yu Qing repeated their names slowly. A flash of understanding passed across his face. He gave Duanxin and Zirui a look. Good heavens, they'd actually brought two beauties from the Shui family's direct line as a surprise. It was a bold move. But after the initial shock, Yu Qing felt touched and a little expectant. His wives had been so considerate, so eager to help, that he couldn't be ungrateful. And if this could help bring the Shui family gradually into the yin-yang sect's orbit, that was even better. He kept his expression calm. "You must be tired from the journey. I'll have someone take you to the guest rooms to rest. We can talk tomorrow." He summoned a maid and had the Shui sisters escorted to a quiet, elegant guest courtyard. He gave them time and respect, not pressing anything. Night deepened. In the bedroom, Yu Qing held Duanxin and Zirui, one on either side, and they entered their nightly yin-yang conjunction. Ding! Host has completed yin-yang conjunction. Spirit power and mental force have blended. Souls have been sublimated. 700 yin-yang points. Medium spirit power increase. Medium yin-yang power increase. The system prompt chimed in Yu Qing's mind. After their cultivation, Duanxin left to rest, and Zirui lingered a moment, cheeks flushed with the contentment of the night. Duanxin returned and settled against him, and Yu Qing stroked the smooth backs of his two wives. After a moment, he asked the question that had been bothering him. "Shiner, Rui, why do you always think about finding new Dao companions for me? With you two, I'm already very satisfied." Duanxin lifted her head. Her crimson eyes shone in the dark, serious and intense. "Husband, don't you understand? We want you to be stronger, strong enough to resist anything, strong enough to protect us all. Your dual cultivation secret codex, your soul spirit method, your overlimit absorption theory, each of them could change the world, but each could also attract unimaginable greed and disaster. We don't want to be your burden. We want to be your help. The fastest, most effective way is for you to have more outstanding Dao companions. Through yin-yang conjunction, you can improve faster. Through marriage alliances, we can absorb powerful forces and expand the yin-yang sect, so no one will dare target us easily. That's why we're so keen on this." Zirui added softly, firm in her voice, "Husband, your future will be extraordinary. We have a feeling your enemies may someday be beyond anything we can imagine, perhaps not even mortal. One more bit of strength, one more powerful sister, is one more chance at victory, one more hope to protect this home. We just want this home to last forever, to always be as warm as it is now." Their words flowed into Yu Qing like a steady stream. He finally understood the deep love, foresight, and faint anxiety behind their seemingly rash behavior. They were trying to plan for his future and fortify the foundation of their family. Yu Qing pulled them tightly into his arms and spoke low and sure. "Silly girls, so you've been thinking about this all along. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, this home will remain. No one, no god, will be able to destroy it. I promise." Night deepened around them. The three of them held one another, warmth filling the room. As for the two water blue sisters, Yu Qing already had made his decision in his heart. In the early morning, sunlight filtered through the mist above the ice and fire yin-yang well and fell across Yu Qing's unusually styled grave house. He rose quietly, glancing at Duanxin and Zirui still asleep beside him. Leaning over, he planted a light kiss on each of their smooth foreheads, then slipped on his outer robe and left the bedroom. He went to the kitchen and began preparing breakfast. As the food was set out one dish at a time, the household woke. The two little girls, Xiao Wu and Duguyan, were led out by a maid, rubbing their sleepy eyes. Father Duan and Father Zi appeared at the table, full of energy. The whole family sat together and enjoyed a warm morning meal. After breakfast, everyone went their separate ways. Duanxin and Zirui to care for the children, Xiao Wu taking Duguyan by the hand to see new friends in the cult, and the two fathers-in-law to handle sect affairs. Purple Pearl followed Yu Qing like a piece of sweet, sticky candy, grinning as she kept pace. Wherever he went, she followed, her purple eyes bright and full of expectation. Feeling a bit helpless at being trailed, Qing stopped, turned, and ruffled her hair. Pearl, I've got serious business to attend to in a little while. Why don't you go cultivate for a bit? Or go learn some poison arts from Douluo Bo? Weren't you interested in his techniques? Purple Pearl refused to leave. She gave a sly smile, leaned in close, and lowered her voice conspiratorially. Hey, husband, is the serious business you mentioned going to be about contracting those two beautiful sisters Shiner and Rui brought back last night? Don't worry, I'm only coming along to see what the new sisters look like. I promise I won't get in the way of you flirting with girls. She raised 3 fingers as if taking an oath, though her grin grew more mischievous. Qing rubbed his brow, amused and helpless. You. Seizing the moment, Purple Pearl grabbed his arm and pressed her proud little chest against it, swaying in a spoiled way. Husband, just take me with you. I'll be good. I can even be your wingman. But, her tone shifted, a crafty light danced in her eyes. As payment tonight, you must have a deep harmony session with me. You belong to me for the whole night, okay? Feeling the softness and warmth against his arm and hearing the sugar-sweet plea, Qing's reluctance melted. He smiled, pinched the tip of her pert nose, and nodded. All right, tonight this husband will dote only on my little Pearl. Yay! Husband is the best! Purple Pearl cheered, standing on tiptoes to plant a playful kiss on his cheek. Qing took his sweet little sticky candy and headed for the guest courtyard where the Shui sisters were staying. He straightened his collar and knocked gently on the elegant gate. Footsteps sounded inside. The gate creaked open a crack, and a pretty face peeked out. Shui Weiwei, the younger sister, looking both nervous and expectant. When she saw Qing, her cheeks flushed crimson. She shifted her gaze and murmured, Miss Qing? Good morning. Qing greeted her with a calm smile. Good morning, Miss Weiwei. Did you rest well last night? Are you getting used to the place? It was okay, Shui Wei replied faintly, lowering her head. Won't you invite us in? Ah, so sorry. Please come in. Qing laughed. Shui Wei stepped aside to let him and Purple Pearl into the courtyard. Purple Pearl's sharp purple eyes immediately swept over Shui Wei from head to toe. After a moment, she nodded with satisfaction. Petite, exquisite, lively. A first for husband's-wife types, she thought. Then the elder sister, Shui Wuxiang, walked out, ice-cold expression and tall, graceful figure. Purple Pearl's eyes lit up with a new interest. An ice beauty. This figure might rival the fox consort. Unspeakable images flitted through her mind, and a mischievous smile tugged at her lips. Qing had no idea what she was thinking. He stepped into the living room and began chatting with the Shui sisters in a gentle, witty manner, easing the stiff atmosphere. Purple Pearl flitted over to the more approachable Shui Weiwei and chattered, soon earning her laughter. But small talk ended, and Qing cleared his throat, steering the conversation to the matter at hand. Miss Wuxiang, Miss Weiwei, he said more seriously. Shiner and Rui told me everything you discussed last night. At that, the sisters' expressions grew solemn. They nodded. Qing continued. I thought about it all night. Regarding your willingness to become my wives in exchange for spirit evolution and rapid spirit power enhancement, I can give you an answer now. The room fell still. Shui Wuxiang and Shui Yue held their breath, hearts pounding as they stared at him. Qing looked at them and smiled before clearly saying 3 words, I agree. Phew, both sisters breathed long, heavy sighs of relief, their tension easing. But the relief was tangled with complex feelings. Being bound for life to a strange man, sharing his love with others, even marrying him together. An awkward sourness rose in their hearts. Purple Pearl, quick to read emotions, stepped forward with a grin and took Shui Weiwei's arm, pressing close and boasting. Shui Weiwei glanced down, a flicker of envy in her eyes, as Purple Pearl comforted them brightly. There, don't worry. Husband treats everyone well, absolutely fairly. The other sisters are all easy to get along with. They'd never make things difficult for new sisters. Otherwise, Shiner and Rui wouldn't have gone out of their way to bring you back. Her words warmed the sisters. They thought of Duanshin, Rui, and Purple Pearl. Indeed, they seemed friendly and uncomplicated, not the schemers they'd feared. Purple Pearl puffed out her chest and added boastfully, and by the way, even though I'm ranked 5th, I'm the youngest, only 19, and my spirit power is already rank 65. 19, rank 65? Shui Wuwei gasped. She stared in shock, younger than her, but so advanced. This cultivation speed was terrifying. Shui Wuxiang's expression sharpened. The idea of a 19-year-old spirit emperor was unheard of. If Duan Xin and Zirui's dual cultivation method could do this, it was truly miraculous. Desire for strength pushed aside awkwardness. Sensing their change of heart, Purple Pearl seized the moment. How about it? Do you want to try that dual cultivation method with husband first? See the effects for yourselves, then decide whether you want to stay? To try it? Shui Wui's face flushed so red it seemed to burn. Is it going to be that so soon? Shui Wuxiang's breath caught, panic flashing in her ice-blue eyes. Could we have a few days to prepare? She asked, trying to sound composed. She still couldn't accept giving herself to a stranger so quickly. Even for power, she needed time. Purple Pearl laughed and waved a hand. Oh my, you're overthinking. The tryout I meant isn't that kind of deep exchange you're imagining. But once you truly experience the beauty of dual cultivation, I guarantee you'll be clinging to the husband every day, begging for more. With that suggestive remark, she giggled and ran off, leaving Yu Qing and the two sisters. The sisters stood blinking, cheeks aglow, unsure what to do. Yu Qing, considerate, said, "You can think it over. There's no rush. If you decide to try, come find me anytime." He prepared to leave. Wait! Shui Wuxiang suddenly looked up, determination shining through. She drew a steadying breath. Her voice trembled but was firm. No need to think it over. We're willing to try. Let's do it now. I want to experience your dual cultivation method and see if it's really as miraculous as they say. As the elder sister, she felt she had to seize an opportunity that could change both their fates. Yu Qing looked at Shui Wuxiang's resolute gaze, then at shy but nodding Shui Wuwei, and understood. Two golden contract documents, emitting a sacred ancient aura, manifested before the sisters. Intricate runes flowed across them, humming with the power of the laws. Drip a drop of your essence blood onto the contract, Yu Qing instructed calmly. Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuwei exchanged a look of nervous determination. They bit down hard on their fingers. Hiss, pain flared. 2 drops of bright red blood welled from their fingertips. They pressed the bleeding tips to the floating golden contracts. Hum! The moment the blood touched, the documents erupted in dazzling light, one pure white, the other dark and profound. The 2 beams shot into the sky, winding around each other for a moment before the white light dove into Yu Qing like a swallow returning to its nest, while the dark light merged into the foreheads of Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuwei. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully contracting a 4-star Dao Companion, Shui Wuxiang. Reward, Dao Companion Treasure Chest Ike 1, Yin-Yang points. Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully contracting a 4-star Dao Companion, Shui Wuwei. Reward, Dao Companion Treasure Chest, X1, Yin-Yang points plus 400. Dao Companion updated. Age 26. Spirit, Ice Condensing and Flying Lu rank 51 Spirit King. Spirit Ring Configuration, Yellow, 410 years. Purple, 41653. Black, 110. Beauty, 90. Naturally charming, devastatingly beautiful. Innate soul power, level 8. Overall star rating, 60. Dao Companion, Shuade 25. Spirit, Water Condensing Flying Luan. Spirit Power rank 49 Spirit King. Spirit Ring Configuration, Yellow, 410 years. Yellow, 600. Purple, 65. Purple, 4450. Beauty, Innate soul power, level 7. Overall star rating, favorability 60. The system's notification chimed in Yu Qing's mind. He scanned the sisters' information and was satisfied, both talented and well-grounded, worthy descendants of the Shui family. The contract is complete, Yu Qing said with a smile. Now, we can begin our first dual cultivation. Now? Here? Shui Wuya's face, which had barely settled, flamed red again. She instinctively stood, about to walk away. This was too direct. Yu Qing quickly caught her wrist and laughed. Where are you going? Doing it together brings better results. The 3 of us together? Even the composed Shui Wuxiang couldn't help but cry out, eyes wide with alarm. This was beyond her imagination. Yu Qing looked at their shocked faces, so embarrassed they wanted to disappear, and smiled faintly. You didn't think dual cultivation only meant that sort of deep and shallow exchange, did you? The two sisters froze as their blush climbed from face to ears and neck. Mortified at having misinterpreted, they could have vanished into the floor. Ha ha! Yu Qing chuckled at their adorable reaction, then grew serious. All right, no more jokes. Dual cultivation comes in different forms. What we're about to do is a gentler, safer, and more efficient method of merging energy and mental resonance. Please remove your outer clothing, leaving only your undergarments. Still extremely shy, but relieved that nothing indecent would happen, the sisters glanced at each other, bit their lips, and turned their backs. With trembling fingers, they unfastened their dresses. Moments later, two stunning women stood before Yu Qing in thin undergarments, Shi Wuxiang tall and snow-skinned with graceful curves, Shi Wuyue petite, delicate, and endearing. The exposed pale skin flushed pink with embarrassment, radiating an irresistible allure. Yu Qing took it in calmly. As expected of the Shui family, their skin is like flowing water. All right, let's begin. He sat cross-legged on the padded floor and signaled the sisters to center around him. Their palms met, forming a cycle, his warm hands with their cool ones. Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuyue followed his instructions, closing their eyes. Close your eyes. Focus and relax body and mind. Yu Qing's deep, steady voice grounded them. He slowly closed his own eyes, and the majestic spirit power and expansive mental force within him began to circulate, resonating with the sisters' energies. A gentle yet potent current of energy flowed into their bodies through their touching palms, guiding their own spirit power to merge and circulate. An unprecedentedly wonderful sensation swept through the sisters as if their souls trembled. Warmth, comfort, pleasure. Words failed to capture it. They unconsciously surrendered to the feeling, losing track of time and shyness. Ding, completed one yin-yang conjunction. Spirit power and mental force merged, soul elevated. Plus 500 yin-yang points, medium amount of spirit power, medium amount of yin-yang power. Ding, completed one yin-yang conjunction. Spirit power and mental force merged, soul elevated. 400 yin-yang points, medium amount of spirit power, medium amount of yin power. After 2 deep cultivation sessions, Yu Qing withdrew his spirit power and mental force. For the sisters, trying this for the first time and being only at the Spirit King level, this had been their limit. They remained in the afterglow for a long while, faces flushed, eyes misty, lips parted with soft breaths. The dazed, blissful expressions made them seem as if they had experienced some transcendent joy. When they gradually returned to themselves, they checked their spirit power instinctively and then froze. Their eyes widened with disbelief and wild joy. Shu Wei felt the bottleneck at rank 49, the one she'd been stuck at, had been broken. Her spirit power had reached rank 50. She only needed a suitable spirit ring to advance further. Shu Wuxiang's gain was even more dramatic. Her spirit power had leapt from rank 52 to rank 57, an increase of 5 ranks. It was nothing short of miraculous. This. The sisters were breathless, barely able to speak. Their gazes toward Yu Qing shone with intense warmth and a newfound reverence. Yu Qing smiled at their shocked expressions. He extended his fingers and lightly tapped their foreheads, transmitting the essentials of the soul power compression method into their seas of consciousness. The spirit power gained from dual cultivation is powerful, but a bit unstable, he advised. In the coming days, you must diligently practice this method to repeatedly refine and compress the new spirit power. Compress it at least 5 times to solidify your foundation before the next dual cultivation. He continued, also, a unique black and white interwoven energy should have condensed in your dantians, that is yin-yang power. Refine and absorb it as soon as possible. It will be of great benefit for evolving your spirits and increasing the age of your spirit rings. Prioritize evolving your spirits. The foundation is the root. His careful and generous guidance touched the sisters. The earlier awkwardness about sharing a husband faded more than half, replaced by growing trust and gratitude. Shi Wuqing's favorability +5, current favorability 65. Ding, Shi Wu's favorability 10, current favorability 70. Yu Qing's mouth curved in satisfaction. All right, consolidate your cultivation well, he said, standing. If you don't understand anything, ask me at any time or consult your other sisters. With that, he turned and walked away. In the living room, Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuwei looked at each other. Excitement, shock, and firm determination reflected in their eyes. Wordlessly, they sat cross-legged, closed their eyes, and impatiently began to operate the soul power compression method, working to refine and absorb the magical yin-yang power in their dantians. 105. Life Sciences Experiment. After completing their first cultivation session with the Shui family sisters, Yu Qing walked straight to the toxic miasma zone. He had promised the cloud-shrouding flower emperor that he would transplant its clansmen from the Stardew Great Forest to the area around the ice and fire yin-yang well. It was a massive project that required careful, detailed preparation. Over the following days, Yu Qing threw himself into planning. He spent most of each day in the toxic miasma zone on the edge of the well, surveying the terrain, measuring spaces, and meticulously designing the new home for the cloud-shading vines. It was an extremely delicate task. He had to make sure the transplanted vines had enough room to grow and could absorb the nourishing energy radiating from the yin-yang well, while also ensuring that Dugu Bo's poison formation and the yin-yang dual polarity sect protection formation he had installed remained intact. Holding the blueprints, he would sometimes fall into deep thought, and at other times mark key areas with spirit power, busy from morning until dusk. After a long day, Yu Qing returned home. After a delicious dinner, Duan Xin, called Purple Pearl, would pull him into her room for a night-long session of yin-yang harmonization. Thus, by day he planned the transplantation in the toxic miasma zone, and by night his happy life began. His two wives, Duan Xin and Zi Rui, had recently contracted their spirit souls, and their demands on Yu Qing were unprecedented. Often, as soon as he returned and finished dinner, before he had a moment to rest, one of them would give him a flirtatious look and a charming smile and lead him to the bedroom. "Husband, you worked so hard today. Let Sheena Rui properly reward you." These lines played out almost every night. Heavier, deeper yin-yang conjunction sessions were scheduled as a group activity once every 4 days, when Yu Qing cultivated with both wives together. The effect of this collective cultivation far surpassed one-on-one sessions. The spirit power, mental force, and yin-yang energy generated were not only greater in quantity, but purer in quality, bringing huge benefits to everyone. So he planned the transplant by day and paid his dues at night. His schedule was packed and immensely satisfying. One day, feeling the planning was mostly settled, Yu Qing summoned Zi Rui's spirit soul, the cloud-shrouding flower emperor. In its miniature flower fairy form, it hovered before him, transparent wings fluttering, the unpredictable cloud crown above its head swaying gently and sending joyful mental ripples. Since becoming a spirit soul, its strength had increased again, now beyond 80,000 years. Coupled with Zi Rui's mental feedback, its intelligence had sharpened enough for simple conversation. "Look at these spots," Yu Qing said to the cloud-shrouding flower emperor, pointing to the layout he had traced on the ground with spirit power. "These are the locations I've chosen for your clansman's new home. They're rich in energy and won't disturb the original protections. What do you think? If there's no problem, I'll go to the Stardew Great Forest in a few days to begin the transplantation." The cloud-shrouding flower emperor examined the plans carefully, sensing the large space reserved and the relatively mild energy environment compared to the well's core. It conveyed satisfaction and gratitude through mental force. "It is fine. Thank you." "Good," Yu Qing nodded. "Then it's settled." After finishing their exchange, they returned together to the living area inside the ice and fire yin-yang well. The miniature ember dragon was perched on Duan Xin's shoulder while she teased their son, Dragon Yu, in the courtyard. Zi Rui was holding their daughter, Sandalwood Yu, sunbathing. The cloud-shrouding flower emperor flew over and joined them. The two spirit souls had adapted fully to their new existence. As their host's strength rose, the feedback of power made them stronger by the moment, and they were in high spirits, occasionally exchanging mental fluctuations. When they saw Xiao Wu and Duguyan playing happily, both spirit souls showed surprise. They could clearly sense the 100,000-year spirit beast aura from Xiao Wu and were astonished that Yu Qing had accepted and protected a spirit beast in human form. It made them even more certain that following Yu Qing was the right choice. Dugubo, meanwhile, often stood nearby with his hands behind his back, watching the two extraordinary spirit souls with envious eyes. Several times he leaned toward Yu Qing and sighed, grumbling, "Madman Ye, tell me, do I still have a chance to contract a spirit soul like that? It's just too tempting." Yu Qing would laugh and pat his shoulder, giving his usual answer. "Old poison, unless lightning strikes and you awaken a second spirit, it's unlikely, very unlikely." Dugubo would scowl and go back to tinkering with his poisons in frustration, but his eyes always drifted back to the Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor. One morning, after a harmonious breakfast, Yu Qing called for Father Z and Father Duan. "My two fathers-in-law," he said, "please notify all the disciples to drop what they're doing and gather at the central square immediately." "Gather? My virtuous son-in-law, is there something urgent?" Father Z asked, puzzled. Father Duan looked equally curious. Yu Qing smiled faintly. "In a little while, it's going to rain. Tell everyone not to hide, just cultivate calmly in the rain. Also, have them bring basins, bowls, and other containers to collect some rainwater." "Rain? Collect rainwater?" Father Duan looked up at the clear, cloudless sky in disbelief. "Virtuous son-in-law, why would that be?" Before Yu Qing could answer, Duan Xin, teasing her son, chimed in with a laugh. "Dad, don't underestimate this rain. That's the rain of life condensed from pure life energy by my husband using his martial soul, true body, and domain. Getting soaked once is like taking a potent tonic. The collected rainwater will be great for watering the herb fields or for drinking." Life energy turned into rain. The two fathers-in-law exchanged shocked looks. They couldn't fully understand Yu Qing's methods, but they trusted him. "Good, we'll go at once." Without further questions, they hurried off to relay the order. Soon every yin-yang sect disciple within the Ice and Fire yin-yang wong, well, men and women alike, had received the notice. Confused but completely trusting and devoted to Yu Qing, they gathered at the central square with the requested containers. Yu Qing stepped onto the high platform in the square. His gaze swept over the dense crowd below, curious, expectant faces, and he said nothing more than a small smile. Then, with a thought, a golden leaf spirit, translucent like glazed glass with veins of gold and radiating endless vitality, emerged from his palm. From beneath his feet, 9 spirit rings, 4 black and 5 red, rose one after another into the air, rings far beyond the ordinary. The sight of those 5 blood-red spirit rings, each 100,000-year quality, made the air itself seem to shiver. Even though many had seen Yu Qing display power before, the spectacle shook them again, especially the Shui sisters, Shui Wuyue and Shui Wuxiang, who had only just become his Tao companions and were unaware of the full extent of his strength. They stood stunned for a long time. 7th spirit ability, Martial Soul True Body, Yu Qing announced, and the 7th spirit ring burst into light. Brilliant emerald divine radiance wrapped his body. The golden leaf transformed into emerald divine armor that adhered to him, and a vast, pure life energy began to flow outward like a tangible mist. "Open life domain," he murmured, and a huge emerald green domain spread to cover the entire interior of the Ice and Fire yin-yang well. Inside the domain, everyone felt their pores open and their bodies grow strangely comfortable, as if each cell rejoiced. Then a miraculous thing happened. High in the domain, the emerald light began to condense, coalescing into droplets that turned into a gentle green drizzle, life-laden rain. The droplets brimmed with condensed life energy. "Rain! It's really raining! Green rain!" some disciples cried out in surprise. "Quick! Cultivate and collect the rain!" Others moved rapidly, sitting cross-legged to cultivate while placing their containers beside them. The rain of life fell on their skins and was instantly absorbed, a warm current that merged into their limbs and bones. The air swelled with vitality. Inhaling it refreshed their internal organs and accelerated the circulation of their spirit power by several degrees. The square became a silent, efficient hive of cultivation, the only sounds the patter of raindrops and the long breaths of the cultivators. The rain of life lasted a full half-hour. When it slowed and stopped, Yu Qing withdrew his martial soul true body and closed the domain. One by one, the disciples came out of their cultivation states. Then the square erupted in cries of disbelief and joy. "My spirit power increased a level, and I got my first spirit ring." "Me too. I was stuck at level 29 for half a year, and I finally broke through to 30. My old chronic injuries are healed. I feel my spirit becoming more vibrant. All around, the interior of the ice and fire yin-yang well looked as if touched by a miracle. Every plant, from the common medicinal seeds Yu Qing had asked Father Duan to buy, to the rare spiritual plants and spirit medicines that had grown there naturally, sprouted and flourished at an astonishing rate. The ages of many medicinal herbs visibly increased. The air filled with the refreshing scent of medicine and the breath of life. The space was a thriving realm where everything fought to grow. Yu Qing smiled, satisfied. The life domain experiment had exceeded his expectations. He addressed the still elated disciples. From this day forward, the boon of life will be established as a weekly benefit of our yin-yang sect. It will descend once every 7 days. Cultivate diligently and don't waste this opportunity. Long live the sect leader. Thank you for your gift, sect leader. We swear undying loyalty to the yin-yang sect. Mountain-shaking waves of gratitude and cheers erupted across the square. The disciples bowed one after another, moved to tears, feeling incredibly fortunate to have joined the yin-yang sect and to serve such an extraordinary sect leader. After experiencing that miraculous reign of life, Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuwei felt their spirit power surge and the quality of their spirits change in subtle but unmistakable ways. Those tangible gains wiped away the last of their hesitation. All that remained was relief and the excited anticipation of becoming Yu Qing's wives. Since they had refined the yin-yang power in their dantian, their spirits had leapt in quality. They were not yet at the legendary level of the top-tier ice phoenix and water phoenix, but their original ice-condensing flying luan and water-condensing flying luan had already begun to show many phoenix traits. Their wings were grander, their forms more elegant, and the cold and water currents they emitted carried a faint oppressive pressure. They could now, for all practical purposes, be called Ice Phoenix and Water Phoenix. Eager to reach the next, more effective stage of dual cultivation with Yu Qing as soon as possible, the sisters threw themselves into compressing and refining their spirit power, almost forgetting to eat and sleep. With incredible perseverance, they shortened the 5 spirit compressions, which would normally take over 10 days, into 7 days. When the newly added power was finally purified and became a stable foundation, both sisters felt an unprecedented sense of fulfillment and strength. Those 7 days were eventful for Yu Qing as well. He was constantly pressed into service by the passionate Purple Pearl for yin-yang harmonization, or pulled into the bedroom by Duan Xin or Zi Rui, who had developed a taste for intensive special training. Especially Duan Xin, after mastering the Dragon Girl form, her combat vigor had soared. Her attacks, a fiery blend of Dragon Clan endurance and unrestrained passion, left Yu Qing both terrified and delighted. The sensations were exquisite. Each encounter left him breathless and a little in awe of what being a dragon knight entailed. After every session, the 4 of them never forgot the main task, deepening their yin-yang conjunction and cultivating together. Their combined sessions usually lasted over 2 hours, their spirit power and mental forces blending and circulating so well that improvements were visible and immense. Even Purple Pearl, the least cultivated, jumped a full level after a session and couldn't stop smiling. After one session, Purple Pearl hugged Yu Qing's arm, pressing her voluptuous chest against him and cooing, "Husband, from now on, let's harmonize before we practice together. That's the most efficient." Duan Xin laughed, covering her mouth. "Haven't we always done that? Pearl, did you only just figure it out?" She loved seeing the new sisters blush and act shy when they learned what dual cultivation meant. It had been entertaining while it lasted. Zirui shook her head indulgently. "Sheener, you really enjoy teasing the new girls with that phrase. It's a naughty habit." Duan Xin's crimson dragon eyes flashed mischief. "Isn't it fun? They're so cute when they're embarrassed." The next morning, Yu Qing was in the courtyard with his 2 little ones, enjoying a rare moment of domestic bliss. He watched his son and daughter chase the cloud-shrouding flower emperor with clumsy legs, their laughter bright and clean, and he felt contentment settle over him. Then Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wei walked into the yard, faces nervous but determined. Seeing this formidable titled Douluo playing with his children like any ordinary father, a flash of surprise and something softer crossed their faces. "You're here. Yu Qing said, smiling as he held the two children. Looking for Shiner and Rui? Shui Wusheng drew a breath and forced her voice calm. No, we came for you. Her ice-blue eyes met his directly. We've finished compressing our spirit power. We've come for the next dual cultivation. Understanding the term fully now, she was much more open about it. Yu Qing nodded. All right. He carried the children back inside, handed them to Duan Xin and Zi Rui, who had come out hearing the noise, gave a few instructions, and then followed the Shui sisters to the side courtyard where they were staying. In the quiet cultivation room, the three of them pressed palms together. Their spirit power and minds linked, and once more they entered the deep state of yin-yang conjunction. They performed 2 long sessions, each lasting about 20 minutes. When they finished, the sisters' faces were flushed and their eyes glazed, still basking in the afterglow of spiritual sublimation. Yu Qing watched them and offered gently, "Very good. Over the next few days, I'll prepare some special medicinal cuisine and medicinal baths to further strengthen your physique, to lay the best possible foundation for absorbing spirit rings beyond the usual limits later on." The two women gradually came back to themselves. Shui Wuxiang bowed her head. "Thank you for your trouble, husband." Shui Wei couldn't hide her curiosity, her violet blue eyes wide. "Husband, can we later absorb spirit rings beyond the normal years, the way Sister Xin and Sister Ri did?" Yu Qing smiled confidently. "Of course. Once the foundation is solid enough, it's not difficult." Over the following days, Yu Qing personally prepared 10 servings of his great nourishing cuisine and a set of body-tempering and bone-refining medicinal baths for the sisters. The effects were startling, though the cuisine carried a mild aphrodisiac side effect. When he handed it to them, he warned, "This medicine is intense. You may feel warmth afterwards. That's normal. Don't panic. It isn't because I did anything weird." He didn't want another misunderstanding like those with Aru and Purple Pearl. After a period of medicinal nourishment and baths, their physiques visibly improved. Their skin gleamed, their blood and qi surged, and their meridians widened. Shi Wuxiang even took the opportunity to break through to spirit power level 59, one step from Spirit Emperor. "Husband, your medicinal cuisine, it's miraculous." Even usually composed, Wuxiang couldn't hide her shock. Her ice-blue eyes filled with astonishment. "It's unbelievable," Shui Wei agreed excitedly. "I've never heard of anything that both greatly strengthens the body and advances spirit power like this." Yu Qing allowed a faint, proud smile. "Heh, it's my unique recipe, one of a kind on the continent." He flicked his wrist and produced 2 radiant spirit bones from his palm. They shimmered with cold and water vapor, crystal clear as if formed from the purest ice and water. The energy rippling through them was thrilling. "These are 2 80,000-year spirit bones," Yu Qing said calmly. "One is ice attribute, the other water, perfect for your spirits. Since you've become my wives, accept these as my betrothal gifts." 80,000 years? Shui Wei stammered, eyes fixed on the bones, breath quickening. Shui Wuxiang's pupils trembled. She forced herself to look away, voice trembling. "Husband, this is too precious." "Take them," Yu Qing interrupted softly. "Shiner, Rui, and Pearl all have matching spirit bones already. I'm going to use these 2 as catalysts to do one final body tempering with the Thousand Refinements Method. I'll temper your bodies to the limit of your current realm so that the spirit ring years you can absorb later will be maximized." The sisters barely contained their excitement. They took the spirit bones carefully, as if holding treasures. The bones were cool to the touch, but their palms felt like they were burning. The following body tempering was painful but effective. Yu Qing guided the spirit bones' energy, hammering and refining their meridians, bones, and flesh until they grew tougher than ever. When it was done, exhausted though they were, both could feel their bodies had been transformed, harder, more resilient. Yu Qing breathed out, stretched, and was about to leave so they could rest. At that moment, a cool, gentle hand tugged his sleeve. He turned to see Shui Wuxiang. She leaned close and whispered a few words into her sister's ear. Shui Wui's face flushed crimson. She glanced at Yu Qing like a startled rabbit, slipped into the room, and clicked the door shut behind her. Shui Wuxiang drew a deep breath, as if steeling herself. Her ice-blue eyes were steady and serious as she looked at Yu Qing. Her voice was soft but firm. Husband, we sisters have decided we want to give ourselves to you completely today. Let us become true, complete husband and wives. Yu Qing was slightly stunned. Seeing this cold, exquisitely beautiful woman actively making such a proposal filled him with tenderness. He didn't refuse. He reached out, drew her in, and held her. What followed was an intimate, lingering yin-yang harmonization. Wu Xiang, cool as ice, melted under Yu Qing's gentle guidance into something warm and spring-like. The deep harmonization lasted 30 full minutes. When it ended, Shui Wuxiang, cheeks flushed, dressed with unsteady steps, and opened the door. She whispered a few words to her sister waiting outside, cheeks still burning. Shu Yue's eyes widened in surprise. Then, head bowed and face red, she slipped into the room like a thief. Shui Wuxiang closed the door behind her. Under Yu Qing's slightly stunned but amused gaze, the younger sister Shui Yue completed her change from girl to wife as well. Later, when everything had quieted and Yu Qing held them both, basking in the warmth and satisfaction of the aftermath, the system pinged in his mind like thunder. Ding! Special life fluctuation detected. Congratulations to the host. Your Dao companions, Shui Wuxiang, are blessed with pregnancy, successfully conceived. Rewards distributed. Hair Treasure Chest X1, Soul Power Crystal, X5, Star Body Tempering Milk, X3, Eternal Foundation Establishment Spirit Liquid X2, Primal Soul Source Fruit. The notification exploded through Yu Qing like a clap. He froze, utterly bewildered. Just one deep harmonization, and both Shui sisters were pregnant at the same time? The odds were staggering. Was it because they were sisters and synchronized, or because his life origin had recently strengthened? Seeing his strange expression, Shui Wuyu, cuddled against him, asked in a small, nervous voice, "Husband, what's wrong? Did we wear you out?" Her tone held a trace of guilt. Yu Qing immediately snapped out of his daze, laughing as he hugged her tighter and kissed her smooth forehead. "Silly, how could your husband be worn out after just 1 or 2 times? You two are still young. Think about why Shiner and Rui were so keen to bring you into the group." Shui Wuxiang nodded seriously. "Don't say such things. Husband is already very powerful, 2 full hours of harmonization." Recalling the intensity, her cold, elegant face flushed again. "In future, never doubt husband like that." Shui Wei pouted, still worried. "I only asked because your expression was strange." Yu Qing looked at his lovely wives, love swelling in his chest. He stopped keeping them in suspense. Gently he stroked their still smooth bellies, his touch full of tenderness and expectation. "I was just surprised," he said, voice full of incredulous joy, "because there are little lives being nurtured here. You are pregnant with our children." They froze in his arms, eyes wide, faces a mixture of shock, bewilderment, and a slowly dawning immense joy. Sometimes fate really is mysterious. Take pregnancy, for example. Aro, one of Yu Qing's earliest and closest Dao companions and a rank 96 super Douluo, had been desperate to conceive a child with him. She took every opportunity to perform yin-yang harmonization with Yu Qing, countless times, but her belly stayed stubbornly quiet. Fox Consort and Purple Pearl weren't quite as obsessed, but their enthusiasm for harmonization was no less intense. Purple Pearl, in particular, demanded it relentlessly, and the result was the same: silence. Then the new Shui family sisters, Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wu, arrived, and after a single harmonization, each of them was pregnant. One try, and both succeeded. The hit rate was absurd. Yu Qing could already picture the expressions on Aru and Fox Consort's faces when they found out: surprise, envy, maybe a bit of indignation. Especially Aru. Yu Qing imagined she'd turn disappointment into motivation and squeeze him mercilessly when she returned. The thought made him shiver with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. He shook his head to clear his thoughts and set about organizing prenatal care for the Shui sisters. Having helped Duanshin and Zirui through their pregnancies before, Yu Qing knew the routine: medicinal cuisine, calming incense, proper yin-yang conjunction arrangements. Everything was arranged down to the smallest detail. That evening, back at the main house, he watched Duanshin playing with the children, Zirui reading quietly, and Purple Pearl waiting expectantly. He cleared his throat and dropped the news. "Ahem, I have something to tell you," he said as calmly as possible. "Wu Xiang and Wu Yu, they're pregnant." There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Purple Pearl exploded. She leapt from her seat, eyes wide with disbelief and shock. Just one harmonization? Both of them. How is that possible? She touched her flat, quiet belly with a mix of envy and frustration. Qing nodded. I sensed life fluctuations in their abdomens, just like when Shiner and Rui were pregnant. A mischievous glint flashed in Duanxin's crimson dragon eyes. She elbowed Rui and giggled. Heh, Sister Rui, wait till Sister Ro hears. She's been trying forever. She'll go wild when she gets back. She won't stop until she's pregnant. She'll squeeze husband to death. Her tone was gleeful, anticipating a show. Rui smiled and shook her head. Don't say that about Sister Ru. She'll be happy for husband when she finds out. There was amusement in her eyes, but gentle. Purple Pearl wasn't in the mood for jokes. She rushed to Qing, wrapped her arm around his, and clung to him with a serious, almost solemn look. Husband, starting today, you must harmonize with me every day. I don't care what happens. I have to get pregnant before Sister Ru and Sister Fox return. I can't lose to the new sisters. Duanxin and Rui exchanged a look and gave her the same deadpan expression. You wish. Duanxin planted her hands on her hips and teased. Haven't you forgotten, Sister Pearl? Husband isn't yours alone. Want him all to yourself? No chance. Rui added softly but firmly. The rain and dew must be shared equally. Purple Pearl immediately deflated, scratched her cheek awkwardly, and tried to bargain. Fine. How about this? Tonight, husband harmonizes with me first, then goes to Sister Shin and Sister Rui's place. Sounds fair, right? Duanxin rubbed her chin, pretending to think, then nodded with satisfaction. Approved. Rui smiled and agreed. The three of them cheerfully mapped out Qing's nightly itinerary. Qing, resigned, protested between laughter and exasperation. Hey, did you forget to ask me? Duanxin leaned in with large, adorable eyes and cooed. Oh, husband, just enjoy it. With the three of us every night, aren't you blessed? Looking at his three wives, each stunning in her own way, Qing rubbed his forehead helplessly. Still, beneath the exasperation was a strange, growing sense of confidence. After all, he possessed the yin extreme reverse yang art, if they wanted to drain him, not on his watch. Thus began a delightfully busy stretch of life. By day, he played with his son and daughter, guided disciples like Ling Xin and Ling Mao in their cultivation, trained the sect's core members, and prepared prenatal medicinal cuisine for the Shui sisters. At night, he was pampered in rotation by his three tiger-like wives. First, the fiery Purple Pearl, then the dragon girl Duanxin with explosive combat power, then the gentle Rui. Time flew. A month slipped by. But as days accumulated, Qing's worry about Aru and Fox Consort grew heavier. There had been no messages. He knew Aru was powerful and Fox Consort had strong survival skills, but silence for so long was unnerving. When he asked Duanxin and Rui, their answer left him equal parts amused and frustrated. After their last failed attempt to punish him, the four of them had reflected and come to the same conclusion. The five sisters were too few and too weak to beat their powerful husband. So they drafted a sister recruitment plan to add more sisters and strengthen their ranks. Duanxin and Rui had been in charge of recruiting the Shui sisters they'd had their eyes on. Aru and Fox Consort had gone farther afield, supposedly to find a very special plant. Plant? The name flashed through Qing's mind. Yin, the mother of Tang San on the Douluo Continent, 100,000-year blue-silver emperor transformation. If any plant matched the description, that would be it. He silently prayed for their safety and made a decision. I'll wait 10 more days. If they're not back by then, I'll go find them myself. That night, after harmonizing with Purple Pearl, Qing invited Duanxin and Rui to join him. The four sat in a circle, palms touching, and entered a deeper yin-yang conjunction session. Their combined spirit power and mental force raised the efficiency far beyond one-on-one cultivation. After more than an hour, they came out feeling refreshed and more advanced. Later, after calming his two lingeringly discontent wives, Qing retired to the study. He closed his eyes, sank into the sea of consciousness, and entered the system space. The panel showed his yin-yang points, 4,387,900. Seeing the 4 million mark filled him with pride. It was the result of nearly 8 months of steady effort, daily cultivations, and contributions from Tao companions. He hoped to roll a spatial storage device that could hold living things, With one, transplanting the cloud shading vine would be much easier. Perhaps because he'd saved up, the system mall's refresh this time offered significantly higher quality goods than before. The list made his head swim. Top-tier medicinal pills that could boost strength and alter aptitude, 100,000-year spirit rings and spirit bones, even 100,000-year spirit souls with intelligence that could choose their own masters, rare spiritual plants and metals. There was even a ring ascension pill that increased a spirit ring's age by 500 to 1,000 years per pill and could be used repeatedly, surprisingly cheap at 10,000 yin-yang points each. Qing couldn't resist. He bought one 10,000-point pill just to try it, and then kept looking. He refreshed them all several times, hoping the living spatial device would appear, but it didn't. Undeterred, his shopping spree streak kicked in. Ding! Spent 150,000 yin-yang points, purchased a 100,000-year mind-condensing wisdom skull. Ding! Spent 280,000 yin-yang points, purchased a 100,000-year blazing holy dragon spirit ring. Ding! Spent 500,000 yang points, purchased a 100,000-year deep-sea demon whale spirit soul, pending contract. Ding! Spent 50th aptitude transformation pill. Ding! Spent 60,000 yin-yang points, purchased spirit bone strengthening spirit source X3. In a few days, he'd spent over 1 million yin-yang points. Treasures that would make any spirit master jealous piled into his system warehouse like common produce. He felt the sting of extravagance afterward, but looking at the glittering haul, Qing felt a deep, satisfying sense of security. This, he thought wryly, was the true pleasure of a shopping spree. 108. Douluo Bo's second spring. For several days in a row, Qing had come up empty-handed in the system mall when searching for the life space equipment he wanted. He didn't get frustrated. After all, he still had 3 million yin-yang points in the bank. With that kind of balance, he had plenty of confidence. He was sure that if he kept refreshing every day, the item would eventually show up. In the meantime, the top-tier treasures he'd splurged on during his recent spending spree of nearly 1 million yin-yang points were being distributed to his beloved wives in turn. Zirui was first. Since the last spirit soul contract, Duanshin had gotten a 100,000-year spirit bone from the Ember Dragon as a sort of dowry, while Zirui's cloud-shrouding flower emperor wasn't as deep-pocketed. The 100,000-year mental condensation wisdom head spirit bone Qing had bought from the system mall would make up that shortfall perfectly. That night, after a satisfying yin-yang harmonization, Qing held his wife gently. With a little flourish, the precious spirit bone appeared in his palm. "Come, Rui," he said tenderly, a note of fondness in his voice. "Your husband prepared this 100,000-year head spirit bone just for you. Take it and absorb it." Zirui's eyes lit with restrained joy at the sight of the treasure, an object that would make any spirit master envious. Yet she did not overreact. She was used to her husband occasionally producing astonishing items. She reached out, handled the spirit bone with care, feeling the immense mental force it held, and said softly, "Thank you, husband." Then she tilted up and pressed a gentle, fragrant kiss to his cheek. Naturally, she repaid him thoroughly that night. The next morning, Qing found Duanshin in the courtyard, trying to frighten Dragon Yu with a display of dragon might. Qing took out a diamond-shaped crystal that pulsed with blistering heat and a faint aura of dragon might, an explosive flame holy dragon spirit ring, 100,000 years old. "Seen her," he said with a laugh. "This spirit ring's attributes suit you perfectly. Once you reach rank 80, go ahead and absorb it." Duanshin's crimson dragon eyes flared with excitement when she took the spirit ring. She could feel the flame power within, purer and fiercer than the Ember Dragon's origin flame, and the accompanying dragon might would help her spirit greatly. "Husband, you're the best," eyes bright with curiosity, asked, "This, such a precious 100,000-year spirit ring, is it another god trial reward from that divinity?" Qing nodded without missing a beat. Most of the god trial rewards this time were meant for you all." The excuse was handy and smoothed things over. Duanshin hugged his arm and nuzzled him, voice full of flirtation. "Hey, husband, wait for me tonight, okay? I'll definitely repay you properly." Yu Qing ruffled her silky red hair. All right, let's see how Siner rewards her husband tonight. After that, he sought out Purple Pearl. He gave her a round, smooth spirit pill that smelled faintly medicinal, a top-grade pill that could raise spirit power by 3 ranks with no side effects. That boost would carry her, currently at rank 66, up toward rank 69. As for the deep-sea demon whale spirit soul Yu Qing had bought for 500,000 yin-yang points, he kept that in reserve. Purple Pearl wasn't yet strong enough. She needed to reach at least rank 80 and temper her physique before she could attempt a contract with such a proud spirit soul. Purple Pearl was overjoyed at the pill and immediately began repaying him, though she was mostly motivated by one pressing desire. When the clouds had cleared and the rain stopped, the first thing she did was touch her flat belly and look at Yu Qing with eager eyes. Did I get pregnant this time? Yu Qing affectionately pinched her nose. Not yet. Purple Pearl dug a frustrated hand into her belly. Oh man, you useless belly. Look at the Wu Xiang and Wu Yue sisters, working so hard on harmonization every day and still not pregnant. It makes me so mad. Yu Qing was amused by her pout and soothed her. Take it slow. You can't rush it. The higher the spirit rank, the stronger the life force, and the harder it is to conceive naturally. It's the law of heaven and earth. Purple Pearl sulked for a moment, then perked up. She jumped out of bed, took a shower, and hurried off to ask Shui Wue, the model of success, for advice. Yu Qing watched her energetic back, smiled, tidied his things, and left to find Douluo. Lately, Douluo had been acting strangely. He would vanish for a day or two, and when he came back, his face would be lit with a smile like an old tree putting out new blossoms. He seemed like a different man from the gloomy, stiff old Douluo. Yu Qing remembered. He was curious. When Yu Qing arrived at Douluo's small courtyard, he was surprised. The place had nearly been transformed. Where wild, colorful, obviously poisonous herbs had once crowded every corner, making the air thick with a faint, fishy sweet tang, now many toxins had been carefully relocated to sheltered beds. A wide open space had been cleared in the center and paved with neat bluestone slabs, and a set of stone tables and stools had been arranged. The whole courtyard was cleaner, more spacious, even a bit elegant. Douluo himself was rolling up his sleeves, sweating as he carefully transplanted a strange purple-black flower. Its petals were like ghostly faces. Yo, old man Douluo, Yu Qing teased. The sun's rising from the west. Are you finally willing to move your precious darlings? What's this about? Douluo didn't look up, focusing on his work. Go away. What do you know, kid? It's for my other half. I can't let these treasures accidentally poison the woman who finally agreed to spend her life with me. If that happened, who would I cry to? He said it gruffly, but the affection and joy in his voice couldn't be hidden. Yu Qing raised an eyebrow. So she agreed to live in seclusion with you here at the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well? Douluo straightened with a hint of pride. Naturally. Yu Qing took him in. The backlash from the Jade Phosphor Serpent had passed, and Douluo was no longer the shriveled, sinister old man he'd once seemed. He was tall and handsome for a man in his early 40s, carrying the power of a Teetal Douluo and a deep mastery of poisons. No wonder he'd attracted someone. Madman Ye, Douluo said, brushing dirt from his hands. You don't visit without a reason. What trouble are you bringing today? Yu Qing laughed and didn't beat around the bush. With a flick of his wrist, a long-incised spirit pill appeared between his fingers, faintly glowing and smelling of medicine. I've been researching a new medicinal pill, the Ring Ascension Pill, he said. As the name suggests, it can slightly increase the age of a spirit ring. I need someone to test it. Senior Douluo, interested in being the first? Douluo scoffed irritably. Humph, I knew it. If you need something, it's Senior Douluo. If you don't, it's old poison, this and that. So you want to use me as a guinea pig? Still, how could a titled Douluo resist the chance to make his spirit rings older? His words were bluster. His hands were quick. He took the pill, inspected it, then swallowed it at once. The pill dissolved and became a gentle warmth that traveled through him, a quiet power of law merging into his limbs and bones before converging on the spirit rings in his body. Moments later, Douluo's eyes flew wide. Shock and wild joy blazed in his emerald, snake-like gaze. This pill, Madman Ye, what kind of heaven-defying thing is this? The effect is incredible. Yu Qing grinned. How strong? Which ring was affected? By how much? Dugu almost choked from excitement. The ninth spirit ring. I got it hunting a jade phosphor serpent over 79,000 years old. It was always just shy of 80,000. One pill, and it broke through to 80,000 years. For high-level spirit rings, even a few hundred years mattered. For a ninth ring to hit that threshold was huge. Qing was pleased. The pill had worked even better than he'd hoped. He made a mental note to produce more of them as rewards to motivate outstanding members of the sect. In a buoyant mood, he prodded. By the way, Senior Dugu, who's this mysterious other half of yours? Which family produced a woman with such good taste? Give me a hint. Dugu clamped his mouth shut, keeping the secret, but the proud smile on his face only widened. Go away. You'll find out when the time comes. Qing couldn't help but mutter under his breath. Did the old man use some less than honorable trick to get a direct descendant of a major sect to come live here? A few days later, Qing learned the answer. Dugu finally brought his mysterious other half to the ice and fire yin-yang well and introduced her to everyone. Qing's eyes widened when he saw the woman at Dugu side. Graceful, around 30, dressed in light green, gentle and dignified. When she shyly released her spirit, a dazzling 7-layer glazed pagoda floated above her palm, the 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda. The #1 support system tool spirit in the world, the legacy spirit of one of the upper 3 sects, the 7-treasure glazed tile school. The woman, Ningfengya, was clearly no ordinary member, but likely a core direct descendant. Qing looked at Dugu, who stood beaming with pride, and felt a complicated mix of surprise and admiration. Old man Dugu had been silent until now, then stunned everyone at once. Secretly courting a direct descendant of the 7-treasure glazed tile school. What vision? What methods? Admirable, truly admirable. 109. Fox, rabbit, and blue silvergrass. Watching Dugubo's smug expression, like an old tree in bloom, Qing couldn't help but lean over, nudge him with his elbow, and ask in a low, teasing voice, curious as ever. Not bad, old Dugu. You have a keen eye. The 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda, that's the world's top support system tool spirit. What's your relationship with young Miss Ningfengya and Ningfengji, the sect master of the 7-treasure glazed tile school? Dugubo's smile broadened, and he lowered his voice. They're biological siblings. But their relationship? Heh, it's not good. Qing raised an eyebrow and glanced toward Ningfengya, who wasn't far away, gentle, well-mannered. Ningfengji's reputation is good. He handles things smoothly and thoughtfully. Why would he be on bad terms with his own sister? Dugu curled his lip. It used to be fine, but Fengya's first husband died young. Ningfengji tried to set her up with an elder from their sect to strengthen the family, but she didn't like him. Ningfengji insisted. They argued, and Fengya left home in a rage. Later, she met this old man here. Qing's expression shifted to understanding, then turned mischievous as he bumped Dugu again. Oh, so that's it. I didn't expect you, old Dugu, to like this sort of thing. You into married women? Dugu went red and shot Qing an irritated glare. Shut up. What do you mean, this sort of thing? Her husband has been gone for years. This is called taking a second husband. It's proper and above board, not stealing someone else's wife. The two of them whispered and made faces at each other, while Ningfengya remained as gentle as she looked. Her manner was like a spring breeze, much like her brother Ningfengji. She struck up a pleasant conversation with Ziruyi, who had a similar temperament, and the two quickly became friends. But when Ziruyi mentioned that Qing, the scholarly-looking sect master, actually had multiple wives, Ningfengya's opinion of him dipped noticeably. She frowned slightly. Seeing Qing and Dugu getting on so well, and knowing this was Dugu chosen home, she made a mental decision. I'll try to stay away from this philandering sect master. So, you're that recently famous but mysterious yin-yang sect? Ningfengya blurted in surprise after learning the truth from Duanshin. Didn't Senior Dugu tell you? Duanshin puffed up proudly. Ningfengya shook her head. He only said he joined a mysterious, powerful force and told me to follow him without worry. The three women soon settled into conversation. From spirit master cultivation to mainland anecdotes, from family matters to life ideals, they chatted harmoniously and quickly became close friends. Qing welcomed Ningfengya's arrival, Having a top-tier support system spirit master in the Yin-Yang sect was a huge boon. For the sect's future and overall strength, it was like putting wings on a tiger. Time drifted by in that warm, peaceful atmosphere, and 10 more days went past. Qing still refreshed the system mall 5 times every day without fail, but the long-awaited life space equipment remained elusive. Instead, he stocked up on medicinal pills with peculiar effects, spirit rings, spirit bones brimming with energy, and even bought 5 more spirit souls for backup. True late-stage hoarding. Daily life went on. Qing prepared medicinal dishes to stabilize the pregnancies of Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuwei, and accompanied them in gentle yin-yang conjunction dual cultivation sessions to stabilize their cultivations and nourish their fetuses. Early that morning, he left the sisters' residence and walked to the entrance of the poisonous miasma zone on the outskirts of the ice and fire yin-yang well. Standing before the colorful, mist-shrouded poisonous fog, he paused for a long time. He looked south. Worry flashed across his face. "Has it really been that long?" he whispered to himself. "Aru, Fox consort." He took a deep breath and steeled himself. He was about to step into the poisonous miasma and go to the mainland to find the 2 wives who hadn't returned in so long, when his vast mental perception suddenly sensed something in a particular direction outside the sunset forest. 3 familiar, but slightly unexpected figures were approaching the ice and fire yin-yang well at speed. The 2 in front were the very Aru and Fox consort he had been worrying about. Travel-worn, but clearly excited and exhausted. Behind them walked a woman in simple blue, her hair like flowing water. She was exceptionally pure and beautiful, with an ethereal temperament and an overwhelmingly dense life aura. Among all the life system spirit masters Qing had ever seen, perhaps only the 9-heart begonias holder could compare. She must be the transformed 100,000-year blue-silver emperor, Yin, Qing realized. He couldn't help the mix of laughter and tears in his chest. Those 2 actually managed to get Yin to come along. Their efficiency, astonishing. When Aru and Fox consort spotted the blue-robed figure standing at the entrance, they simultaneously transformed into 2 streaks of light, one red, one white, and in the blink of an eye plunged into Qing's arms. The impact nearly knocked him over. "Qing, I missed you so much." Aru buried her face in his chest, her voice thick with longing. "Finally back." Fox consort, less demonstrative outwardly, still rubbed her cheek against his chest, her tone full of attachment. They hadn't seen him in months. Their longing had built to a peak. If not for the presence of others and the inappropriate setting, they might have executed Qing on the spot in a unique session of yin-yang harmonization to vent everything at once. All right. Qing felt their warmth and softened. He gently patted their backs. "We'll save the reminiscing for tonight. We have plenty of time. First, shouldn't you introduce me to this new sister?" Reluctantly pulling back, Aru grinned and pointed at the blue-clad woman. "Hehe, this is Yin, a transformed 100,000-year blue-silver emperor. Getting her to come took a huge price." Qing raised an eyebrow and scanned the 2 women with his mental force. Spirit power full, aura stable, meridians clear, no signs of injury. He breathed easier and turned to Yin, who stood at the back, her eyes a little empty. "Hello, Yin." He stepped forward with a friendly smile. "I'm Qing. Welcome to the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. Please, give me your guidance." Yin looked up slowly. Her sapphire-clear eyes held a faint sadness. She nodded and whispered, hello." Her tone was flat, distant. Qing glanced at Aru and Fox consort with a questioning look. "What's wrong with her?" Fox consort grinned slyly, leaned close to Qing, and whispered like she'd pulled off a prank. "She's heartbroken. Husband, now's the best time to take her down." Qing stared. "What did you 2 do?" Fox consort smiled like a mischievous fox. "We didn't do much. We just used a little illusion to make Tang Hao and a dragon lust tree have a bit of an in-and-out relationship." The scene was intense, and Yin happened to arrive and see the whole thing. After that, she became like this. Qing was stunned. The 2 of them had actually used illusions to make Tang Hao and a bizarre spirit beast, dragon lust tree, have that kind of encounter. Outrageous. "Then what happened after that?" Aru giggled. "What's more amazing is, maybe because Tang Hao's clear sky hammer has too much yang qi, or because the dragon lust tree was that determined, but after that, the tree actually succeeded in transforming into a human. And Tang Hao seemed to spark something with that newly transformed little seedling. He completely pushed Sister Ah Yin, who used to be close to him, aside. Yu Qing frowned and fell into thought. He considered the World Correction Force, the consequences of Ah Yin's transformation, and how Tang San's mother would still be a 100,000-year spirit beast, just a different one. He didn't know how to judge it. Then his gaze softened as he looked at the shaken Ah Yin. If Ah Yin were to become his Tao companion, he wouldn't have the psychological burden. They returned inside the ice and fire yin-yang well. Yu Qing introduced Ah Yin to the unique environment personally. Surrounded by the mingled ice and fire and infused with dense life energy, Ah Yin's dim blue eyes slowly brightened. The chaos and pain in her heart eased in this life-rich aura. "How is it here?" she asked softly. Yu Qing seized the moment for a bit of persuasion. "You could move your entire blue-silver grass tribe here. The energy here would benefit your clansmen immensely. It would help them grow more vibrant and even accelerate the condensation of spirit power." A glimmer of interest showed in Ah Yin's eyes. "Is it really okay?" "Of course." Yu Qing's tone was sincere. "You heard Aru and Fox Consort. Since you chose to come here, we'll become husband and wife in the future. As husband and wife, your clan would become my clan too, and I would look out for their future." Ah Yin looked at him with a complicated expression. After a long pause, she nodded gently. "I need some time to let go of the past." "No rush," Yu Qing said warmly. "Take your time. This place is always open to you." With Ah Yin convinced to stay, a weight lifted from Yu Qing's chest. He returned to the main house, but before he could enjoy a quiet dinner, he was grabbed by an impatient Aru and dragged into her room. What followed was an almost frenzied night of yin-yang harmonization. Aru wanted to vent months of longing and a touch of jealousy after hearing that the Shui sisters were pregnant. By the end of the night, she couldn't handle Yu Qing alone, and even pulled the still drowsy Fox Consort in to help while she went off to recover for the next round. She'd learned of Shui Wuyue and Shui Wuxiang's quick success in getting pregnant and was determined to catch up, but things didn't go as planned. Night after night, Aru and Fox Consort took their turns. They pressed and coaxed Yu Qing until even he complained of back pain, but their bellies stayed stubbornly flat. "A Qing," Aru said one night, collapsing weakly in his arms, sobbing with frustration. "Do you think something's wrong with us? Why can't we get pregnant?" Her pink eyes were swollen from crying. Yu Qing stroked her back and comforted her. "Silly girl, didn't I tell you? You and I are titled Douluo-level existences. The higher the life level, the lower the probability of conceiving. It's the law of heaven and earth. It can't be rushed." "But," Aru lifted her tear-streaked face, "why did Sister Shui Wuyue and Sister Shui Wuxiang get pregnant on the first try? They're not even spirit emperors." "It's a matter of probability and luck," Yu Qing said, wiping her tears. "Keep calm and let nature take its course. The more anxious you are, the harder it will be." At that moment, Fox Consort, who'd been waiting outside, pushed open the door and came in. She pulled Aru away from Yu Qing, annoyed. All right. Pearl and I aren't pregnant yet either. What are you getting so worked up about? It's my turn next." Aru opened her mouth, but seeing Fox Consort already skillfully entwined around Yu Qing, she swallowed the words, got dressed, and left to visit the Shui sisters to learn their secret. Ah Yin sat alone by the window, staring blankly at the well's peculiar nightscape. She knew about the nightly revelry and the uninhibited intimacy between Yu Qing and his wives. At first she felt awkward, but maybe because Tang Hao had hurt her so deeply, she felt less resistant. What mattered more was the sense of family among Yu Qing's household. Aru and Fox Consort, Duan Xin and Zi Rui, they treated each other sincerely, like a real big family. That warmth gave her a long-lost peace. Every 7 days, Yu Qing released the life domain over the entire well. The dense rain of life that fell like sweet dew benefited the Blue-Silver Emperor immensely. Bathing in it refined her origin and subtly boosted her cultivation. Gradually, Ah Yin's impression of Yu Qing changed. The green-robed figure in her mind grew clearer, threaded with a faint attraction. On Yu Qing's side, the system kept prompting him. "Ding! Ah Yin's favorability +1. Ding! Ayin's favorability +2. Ding's favorability 1. The increases were small, but Ayin was unconsciously being won over before he'd even formally begun. It made Yu Qing half amused and half exasperated, but also quietly pleased. The day when he would fully bring this injured blue-silver emperor into his garden no longer seemed far off. Chapter 110. Martial Soul Awakening, the Azure Phosphor Serpent Emperor with innate full soul power. A month had passed since Aru and the fox consort returned to the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. In those weeks, their initial fervor for desperately trying to have a child gradually cooled under the hard reality of nightly, exhausting intimacy that produced nothing. Although both Eru and the fox consort were reluctant to admit it, they had to face the facts. At the life stage of a titled Douluo, conceiving a child was as difficult as reaching the heavens. Over time, their eagerness dulled. After all, while intense physical pleasure was enjoyable, you couldn't quite drain your husband every night. Especially when all that effort led to no pregnancy, their desire reached a kind of saturation, and they even slipped into a comedic, resigned calm. Yu Qing watched them with a mixture of sympathy and amusement and quietly communicated with the Tao companion system in his mind. System? Can you give them a cooling effect so they quiet down for a few days? And give me a break to recover my energy? Surprisingly, the system was unusually obliging. An invisible, rule-level influence gently wrapped the three wives who'd been especially zealous, Eru, the fox consort, and Purple Pearl, and the change was immediate. Overnight, their appetites dulled, their eyes cleared, their backs stopped aching, their legs ceased to throb, and they felt refreshed. Instead of obsessing over intimate matters, they began chatting about parenting techniques, flower arranging, and 100 ways to make medicinal cuisine with Shui Wuyue and Shui Wuxiang. Yu Qing was finally freed from the endless grind. He settled into a healthier rhythm, 3 days of fishing, light, pleasant yin-yang harmonization when a wife was in a good mood, and 5 days of drying nets, intensive yin-yang conjunction cultivation with all his wives for substantial improvement. Life became sustainable again. During this peaceful recovery, the yin-yang well prepared for a joyful event. Vice Sect Master Dugu Bo was finally getting married to Ning Fengya. The wedding was simple and private, but the entire yin-yang sect was lively and festive. Everyone was genuinely happy for the usually stern, gloomy-seeming Vice Sect Master, who'd actually taken good care of the members. Lanterns and decorations went up, feasts were prepared, and people celebrated the old tree at last blooming. Dugu Bo had found a partner. At the ceremony, 2 jade-carved, explosively cute little girls, Xiao Wu and Dugu Yan, served as flower girls. Dugu Yan blinked those emerald eyes that bore the Dugu family traits and looked curiously at the gentle, beautiful bride in a bright red dress. Tilting her head, she asked with childish innocence that cut straight to the heart, "Are you my new grandma?" Ning Fengya bent and gently stroked Dugu Yan's soft hair, her voice like warm rain. "Yes, from now on, we're family, little Yan Yan." She already knew how precious Dugu Yan was to Dugu Bo and had resolved to treat the girl as her own. Dugu Yan's face lit up in an adorable, radiant smile. "Then I'll leave Grandpa in your care from now on, Grandma," she declared earnestly. Ning Fengya laughed and nodded. "I will definitely take care of your grandpa and make sure he's healthy and plump." The simple, warm wedding concluded under everyone's blessings. As sect master, Yu Qing had prepared a congratulatory gift, a spirit bone that shone with 7-colored light and emanated a gentle, majestic energy, a 50,000-year gem-type right-arm spirit bone, excellent for support system spirit masters. "Sister-in-law Fengya," Yu Qing said with a smile as he presented it. "This spirit bone's attributes should suit you well. A small gift, please accept it." Ning Fengya was taken aback at the value of the present and glanced at Dugu Bo for his opinion. He laughed and waved the matter away. "Accept it, Fengya. Our sect master Yu is a bottomless treasure box. If he offers it, take it without worry." Ning Fengya accepted the spirit bone with care and bowed. "Thank you, sect master." Yu Qing stepped close to Dugu Bo, leaned in and murmured with a grin audible only to them. "Not bad, old man Dugu. Congratulations on landing the beauty. Tonight, you must do your homework well." Dugu Bo's face flushed and he smacked Yu Qing playfully. "Get lost, you brat," he snapped, but his smile betrayed him. Qing laughed loudly and slipped into the revelry with the rest of the sect. That night, of course, the newlyweds were eager. The mysterious dual cultivation secret codex they'd been given produced miraculous results. The next morning, the two of them were inseparable, throwing flirty glances and clinging to each other as if they'd been fused together, clear evidence their practice the previous night had been highly effective. Qing tactfully pulled the beaming Douluo aside, while Ningfengya was whisked off to a sister's tea party by Duanxin, Zirui, and the other women. Yu hooked his arm around Douluo's shoulder and winked. "How was it, old poison? The secret codex worked last night. Pretty good, right?" For once, Douluo looked shy. He scratched his head, but the excitement in his voice showed through. "More than just good, Madman Ye. I've never seen anything like it. After just, 2 sessions with Fengya, my spirit power shot up to rank 93, and Fengya herself rose 3 ranks to rank 65. This was faster than a rocket." Qing nodded, pleased. "What about spirit ring ages? Any change?" Douluo checked himself and replied, "The 9th spirit ring's age increased by nearly 100 years. It's not huge, but it's real." Qing understood. The secret codex could raise spirit ring age, but its effect couldn't compare with the direct, rule-level gift of yin-yang conjunction that Qing's Tao companions could provide. One was a cultivation technique. The other came from the system itself. He then taught Douluo the soul power compression method. This will help. The spirit power from dual cultivation comes in large amounts, but tends to be a little raw. After you and sister-in-law Ya go back, use this method to refine and compress the new spirit power several times. A solid foundation is the most important thing. Douluo accepted the manual solemnly. "Thank you." The words were brief but sincere. Qing waved it off. "You're the vice sect master of our yin-yang sect. The stronger you are, the better for us all." He changed the subject. "By the way, Yan Yan is 6 now, right? When will you awaken her spirit?" Expectancy and a little nervousness showed on Douluo's face. He considered a moment and said firmly, "Tomorrow." With that decided, they went their separate ways. When Qing returned to his room, he nearly bumped into a very flustered Ningfengya, who darted out like a startled rabbit, giving him a fierce glare before fleeing. Qing stood there baffled. Inside, his 5 wives, Duanxin, Zirui, Aru, the fox consort, and Purple Pearl, were laughing together. "What's going on? What did sister-in-law Fengya do?" he asked. Duanxin wiped tears of mirth from her eyes and waved her hand. "Oh, husband, don't ask." Zirui pursed her lips and smiled. "That's a little secret among us girls." Aru, the fox consort, and Purple Pearl all shook their heads in unison. "We won't say even if you killed us." Qing could only shake his head and let his curiosity go, for now. He later learned the wives had taught the newlywed Ningfengya some rather stimulating and private couples intimacy tips that so embarrassed thin-skinned Fengya she ran away. The next day, the Spirit Awakening Hall was solemn and formal. Qing, accompanied by his 5 wives, Douluo and Ningfengya, arrived to show how important they took the ceremony. In the center of the hall, a dozen children who had turned 6 this year stood in neat lines. They were all carefully chosen seedlings from orphanages by Father Duan and Father Z, months of medicinal cuisine and fortress baths at the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well, having left them rosy-cheeked, full of qi and vigor, with bodies stronger than ordinary kids their age. Seeing the sect master and vice sect master arrive, the presider bowed respectfully. "Let us begin," Qing said softly. "Yes, sect master." The presider took a breath and called out, "Line up and come forward one by one. Don't be nervous." The spirit awakening began. Zhangxiaoji, Spirit Scythe, Innate Soul Power, rank 5. Lahua, Spirit, Blue-Silver Grass, Innate Soul Power, rank 4. One after another, the children stepped forward and placed their hands on the crystal ball. Most of the spirits awakened were ordinary tool spirits, scythes, hoes, blue-silver grass, even some trash spirits, but their innate soul power was not low. Most were between rank 4 and 5. Then it was the turn of a slightly taller black-haired boy with a determined look. The crystal ball flashed blindingly. Luo Sen, Spirit, Dragon Pattern Staff, Innate Soul Power. Rank 7, a low exclamation rose in the hall. Even Qing showed surprise and approval. Douluo slapped his thigh and praised. Dragon Pattern Staff, very good for offense. Rank 7, Innate Soul Power. Madman Ye, your medicinal cuisine and baths are doing wonders. Yu Qing smiled with pride. This is only the beginning. Our cultivation system is still in its elementary experimental stage. When we figure everything out and optimize the program, the talents of these awakened children will be far greater. The awakenings continued until finally the day's main event, the little Dugu Yan, took center stage. All eyes turned to the girl in her pretty dress, a mixture of nervousness and expectation on her face. Dugubo and Ningya unconsciously tightened their grips on each other, tension and hope in their eyes. Yu Qing and his wives, too, watched in intense silence. The presider placed 6 black awakening stones around Dugu Yan and spoke softly. Miss Yan Yan, don't be nervous. Relax and feel the power inside you. Dugu Yan nodded and closed her eyes. The awakening stones flared to life. A brilliant golden halo surrounded the girl as a fierce energy flowed outward from her. Then, behind her, a jade-green phantom condensed, a serpent spirit that looked as though it had been carved from emerald. This was no ordinary jade serpent. Its head was fiercer, adorned with horn-like protrusions, and a haughty, cold light glittered in its pupils. Its presence carried a heart-stopping pressure and a faint, fishy-sweet scent. This is... Dugubo leapt to his feet, his pupils narrowing almost to slits, his voice trembling with excitement. Jade phosphor, serpent. He could hardly believe it. The family's top-tier spirit, passed down for generations and never before awakened, had appeared on his granddaughter. Even he had only evolved his jade phosphor serpent after becoming a titled Douluo. Yu Qing's face lit with surprise and joy. The presider, shaking with emotion, handed the crystal ball to Dugu Yan. She placed her tiny hand on it, and the ball flared like a miniature sun, bursting with dazzling azure light that flooded the hall. Dugu Yan, the presider shouted hoarsely, his excitement overwhelming him. Spirit, jade phosphor. No, it's the jade phosphor serpent. Innate soul power. He drew in a breath and announced at the top of his lungs, rank 10, innate full soul power. For a moment there was silence, then the hall erupted. Innate full soul power. Truly innate full soul power. The jade phosphor serpent actually appeared. Heaven blesses our yin-yang sect. Dugubo trembled with emotion, tears streaming down his old face. He grabbed Ningfengya and hugged her, his voice choked. Fengya, did you hear that? Yan Yan is innate full soul power, jade phosphor serpent. Ha ha ha! Heaven has not abandoned the Dugu family. Ningfengya's eyes were red, and she held him tightly, nodding again and again. I heard it. This is wonderful, truly wonderful. Yu Qing looked down at the little girl in the center of the hall. So stunned by her own talent, she seemed a little lost, and a broad, satisfied smile spread across his face. 111. Azure Phosphorus Serpent King evolves into Earth Poison Dragon. Watching young Duguyan standing in the center of the hall, Dugubo felt so overwhelmed he could hardly contain himself. He turned, gripped Yu Qing's shoulders with both hands, and his voice trembled with gratitude. Yu Qing, thank you so much. His eyes were reddened, on the verge of tears. If it weren't for you these past 2 years, exhausting every rare medicinal cuisine and medicinal bath to condition Yan Yan's body, she would never have awakened the jade phosphor serpent, much less achieved innate full spirit power. You're a benefactor to the Dugu family, like a second father. Yu Qing felt the strength radiating through his shoulders and looked at his old friend's genuine emotion with mixed feelings. He smiled and gently patted Dugubo's arm, speaking calmly but earnestly. Old Poison, you're being too formal. Yan Yan is my first disciple. As her master, she deserves the best resources. Pouring my heart and soul into her. What's wrong with that? Dugubo shook his head violently. He let go, took a step back, and then, to everyone's astonishment, the proud Poison Douluo bowed deeply to Yu Qing. Great kindness cannot be repaid with words, he said in a low, hoarse voice full of solemnity. From this day, my life is at your service, Yu Qing. Whatever you command, I will go through fire and water without hesitation. The hall fell silent. Sect members stared in shock. Ningfengya, who stood nearby, covered her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief. She instinctively wanted to dissuade him. The vow was too heavy. But seeing Yu Qing's mildly helpless look and remembering the subtle influences of Duanxin and Zirui over the past days, she swallowed her words. She trusted her husband's judgment and believed Yu Qing would not misuse such a promise. Yu Qing was startled by Dugubo's dramatic oath. He quickly helped him up and gave a wry smile. Come on, old poison. No need to go that far. Get up, get up. Don't frighten the children. Dugubo rose without another word, but the steady light in his emerald snake eyes showed his resolve hadn't changed. The spirit awakening ceremony ended in an atmosphere of stunned emotion. From that day on, Duguyan's systematic training was placed squarely under Yu Qing's care. A genius with innate full spirit power and a top-tier beast spirit, the Jade Phosphor Serpent, was worth every top-tier resource. They rotated a series of top-grade medicinal baths to strengthen her physique and open her meridians. Every day, Duguyan soaked in a large wooden tub for 2 hours, the steam heavy with medicinal fragrance and scorching power. It was painful, but her body improved rapidly and visibly. Rare medicinal cuisines to consolidate her foundation and nourish her spirit were served in constant variety, many ingredients unknown even to Dugubo, a master of poisons. Yu Qing also discreetly mixed top-grade medicinal pills purchased from the System Mall, pills that improved innate aptitude and nourished the soul's origin, into her diet to lay a perfect Tao foundation. Yu Qing's software teaching was relentless as well. He personally taught Duguyan how to identify the generation and inhibition properties among medicinal and poisonous herbs, how to judge a spirit beast's age and weak points, and even explained strategies for future spirit ring combinations and spirit ability selection, training her as if she would become a future titled Douluo. He didn't neglect his other named disciples. The twin sisters Lingxin and Lingmo also received the sect's best resources. With hard work and medicinal cuisine support, their spirit power reached level 39 peak, one step from breaking through to spirit ancestor. To prepare them for a fourth spirit ring from a spirit several grades higher, Yu Qing spared no expense. He prepared the full 10 complete great nourishment meal and even added a precious 50,000-year piece of whale glue to maximize their physique and meridian endurance. While cultivating disciples and developing the sect, Yu Qing's daily cultivation with his wives continued. The frequency had relaxed from nightly intensity to a steadier pace, but the results of their yin-yang dual cultivation remained significant, each session noticeably boosting their strength. Quietly, his relationship with Yin deepened. He sought her out for lengthy conversations, sometimes about cultivation, sometimes about the habits of exotic plants in the ice and fire yin-yang. Well, sometimes about the application of the power of life. Yu Qing's vast knowledge and incisive insights impressed Yin repeatedly. Her favor toward him rose without her noticing, slipping past 70%. Still, whenever Yu Qing tried to steer the talks toward the more intimate realm of dual cultivation, Yin recoiled. It wasn't dislike, it was a knot she couldn't untie. As long as she hadn't fully let go of her pain and obsession with Tang Hao, giving herself to another felt unfair, to him and to Yu Qing. She needed time to say a real goodbye to the past before beginning anew. Time passed quietly, and another half-month flew by. After that intense period of nourishment and grueling training, Duguyan's foundation became rock solid, and her physique reached a terrifying level well beyond ordinary spirit masters of her rank. Yu Qing judged the time right. She should consume the immortal herb he had prepared, the Earth Dragon Golden Gourd, which could trigger a second spirit evolution. When Yu Qing told Dugubo, the poisoned Douluo almost leapt. He dropped the treasures in his hands and ran to his granddaughter's side, guarding her, as if an accident could happen at any moment. At the core of the ice and fire yin-yang, Yu Qing carefully dug up the Earth Dragon Golden Gourd. He preserved several melon vines to ensure future propagation. Yan, come eat this, he said gently, handing her the golden fruit. It will be uncomfortable. You must endure and guide the power to temper your spirit. Duguyan looked at the gourd, its aroma enticing and its energy potent, and nodded. She bit into it without hesitation. The moment the fruit reached her stomach, a colossal, earth-heavy power erupted through her, vast as a mountain, weighty as the soil. Her face flushed. A dense, earthy yellow light rolled over her skin. She groaned in pain but clenched her teeth and focused, channeling the violent energy as her master had taught. Her jade phosphor serpent martial soul manifested uncontrollably and began to transform. The emerald green, fierce serpent form took on a brilliant golden sheen. The two small horns on its head thickened and sharpened into the nascent form of true dragon horns. Four golden, cold-glinting claws slowly grew from its belly. Its aura shifted. No longer purely cold and poisonous, it gained the weight and steadiness of earth and the unmistakable dragon might of the dragon clan. The spirit was making a fundamental leap, from a snake toward a jiaolong, even closer to a true dragon. It was a rebirth-like evolution. Yu Qing watched, eyes bright with excitement. Jade phosphor serpent, he thought. After this, calling it a jade-scale jiaolong or jade-scale poison dragon would be more fitting. The evolution lasted roughly the time it takes for an incense stick to burn before subsiding. When Duguyan opened her eyes, a golden flash shone through her emerald gaze. She felt the changes and instinctively realized them. A solid, tangible, earthy yellow halo enveloped her. "Master!" she cried. "I feel like my defense has gotten so much stronger." Yu Qing smiled. He explained to the stunned Dugu Bo, Ning Fengya, and the wives who had rushed over. Indeed, the Earth Dragon Golden Gourd is an Earth attribute immortal herb that contains a trace of ancient Earth Dragon bloodline power. For Dragon-type spirits, especially Earth attribute or defense-oriented ones, it has an unmatched purifying and evolving effect. Yanyan's Jade Phosphor Serpent already contained a faint Dragon Clan bloodline. Stimulation from the gourd magnified and purified that bloodline, causing her spirit to evolve from a snake toward a jiaolong, gaining powerful Earth attributes. Now her spirit might be better called the Jade Scale Poison Dragon or the Earth Poison Jiaolong. Dugu Bo's breathing grew ragged. The gourd's effect is really that extraordinary? Yu Qing's smile carried a hint of regret. This was actually a weakened version. If given to a spirit master whose spirit was already a pure Earth Dragon or a pure Earth Attribute Dragon, the improvement would be several times more terrifying. Duanshin's eyes lit up. She grabbed Yu Qing's arm and nuzzled against him coquettishly. "Husband, if I took one, could my Crimson Flame Ember Dragon evolve too?" Yu Qing considered it, then shook his head. "It would be difficult. Your Crimson Flame Ember Dragon is already highly advanced by virtue of its Ember Dragon spirit soul and multiple evolutions using yin-yang power. Its fire attributes are nearly pure. The earth attribute of this gourd, while great for defense, isn't compatible with extreme fire and could even cause conflict. Forcing it would likely have little effect or be counterproductive." Duanshin pouted briefly, then straightened, prideful. "No matter. My Crimson Flame Ember Dragon is already extremely powerful. When I reach level 80 and absorb that explosive flame Holy Dragon, I'll be even stronger." "Of course," Yu Qing said, rubbing her hair fondly. He then drew everyone's attention. Yanyan's spirit evolution is complete and her foundation is solid enough. It's time to obtain her first spirit ring. Coincidentally, Ling Xin and Ling Mao have reached the level 40 bottleneck. Tomorrow, I'll personally take the three of you to the Sunset Forest to hunt for the spirit rings that suit you best. The next morning at dawn, Yu Qing woke as usual and opened his door to find three figures already standing outside his courtyard. One small, two tall, as straight as pine trees. Duguyan, Ling Xin, and Ling Mao waited with uncontrollable excitement. Their eyes sparkled. They'd been impatient for the spirit ring hunt. Yu Qing laughed at their enthusiasm, ate a few bites, then waved them over with a bright grin. "Let's go, my first disciple, and you two diligent named disciples. Today your master will help you find the perfect first spirit ring of your lives." Together the four left the ice and fire yin-yang, heading toward the rising sun. 112. The 10,000-year soul rings of Ling Xin and Ling Mo. Compared to the Stardo Great Forest, where spirit beast species were abundant and even 100,000-year beasts might be found, the Sunset Forest was smaller and had far fewer 10,000-year spirit beasts. Still, finding 10,000-year beasts with the right attributes and ages for the twin sisters, Ling Xin and Ling Mo, was not difficult for Yu Qing. For Duguyan's first spirit ring, he had a clear plan, an 800-year poison spirit ring, ideally from a snake, flood dragon, or sub-dragon, something that would harmonize with her jade phosphate poison dragon spirit and lay a solid foundation for her growth. After a deliberate search and a pulse of his mental perception, Yu Qing locked onto the perfect target, a hideous poison flood dragon hidden deep in a swamp. Its skin was dark red, its snout stained crimson as if with blood, two tiny hornlets on its head, and its body stretched over 3 meters. An 800-year blood-kissed poison flood dragon, Yu Qing murmured, satisfaction flashing in his eyes. This kind is rare. Not only is its poison lethal, hard for anyone below Spirit King to resist, it also carries a faint trace of dragon blood. Perfect for Yan Yan after her spirit awakening. Subduing a beast of that level was effortless for Yu Qing. He didn't even release a spirit. With a casual lift of his hand, an invisible, oppressive force pinned the flood dragon into the swamp like a mountain pressing down. No matter how it thrashed, it was trapped. Yan Yan, he said to his nervous, excited little disciple, come and finish it. Dugu Yan's face lit with determination. She summoned her jade phosphate poison dragon spirit. The phantom dragon, patterned in gold with 4 sharp claws and pronounced horns, hissed, immature but majestic. She concentrated her spirit power and struck with a precise poison dragon bite, killing the flood dragon. A deep yellow spirit ring rose slowly from the corpse. Sit cross-legged, guard your mind, and guide the spirit ring's energy, Yu Qing instructed. At the same time, he released a life barrier, a gentle, vibrant emerald halo that enveloped Dugu Yan, easing the pain and shock of absorbing the ring and subtly helping her refine the energy. Even with his aid, absorbing an 800-year high-quality spirit ring on her first attempt was a serious challenge. The process lasted a full hour before she finally opened her eyes. Master! Dugu Yan jumped up, grabbed Yu Qing's arm, and bounced with excitement. I succeeded. My spirit power reached rank 15. Thank you, Master. Pride and gratitude shone on her small face. Ling Xin and Ling Mao, already at the Spirit Elder peak, watched their junior sister's astonishing improvement with a mix of envy and admiration. Yu Qing ruffled Dugu Yan's hair indulgently. This is Yan Yan's hard work. Master only paved the road. Hey! Today I'm officially a spirit master, Dugu Yan proclaimed, puffing out her chest. Yu Qing smiled. Then work harder and try to surpass your grandfather as soon as you can. She nodded fiercely, fists clenched. Next came the highlight, obtaining the 4th 10,000-year spirit rings for Ling Xin and Ling Mo. Unlike Dugu Yan's specific target, the sisters had a broader range of suitable beasts. Strength, defense, poison, or special attributes could all be considered. Finding truly suitable 10,000-year beasts in the Sunset Forest required more time. After days of searching, Yu Qing finally found an ideal target for the younger sister, Ling Mo, a giant bear over 5 meters tall, its dark gold fur coarse, muscles like granite, fangs bared, and eyes blood red, an aura of raw violence and power. A 10,000-year Vajra explosive bear, Yu Qing said, eyes sharp. A rare variant of the vigorous Vajra bear with extreme metal attribute defense and violent strength, an integrated offense and defense beast, perfect for Little Moor. This time, Yu Qing didn't intend to intervene. This Vajra explosive bear is for you two to handle yourselves. Let's see how you've cultivated these past days. Yes, Master, the sisters answered in unison, battle intent flaring in their eyes. Spirit, possession. 2 fierce surges of spirit power erupted. Ling Xin was surrounded by a deep purple-black poison mist. Her body seemed clothed in a living, flowing suit of venom, sleek, lethal, like a shadowy empress. This was the profound nether poison body, the new form of her body spirit after its second awakening. Ling Mao's body expanded with a low roar. Her muscles rippled with explosive power, and a gold and silver metallic sheen covered her skin. She became a compact but formidable silver giant, her body spirit's second awakening. Silver body. The battle exploded into motion. Ling Xin struck first. She waved her arms and her 3rd spirit ring flared. 3rd spirit ability, Poison Domain Descent. In an instant, a 50-meter radius around her was bathed in dense purple-black poison mist. Soil, grass, and trees were corroded and withered, turning to scorched wasteland. A grim death domain formed, severely restricting the Vajra explosive bear's movement and senses. Ling Mao surged like a silver bolt, charging the enraged beast. Her fighting was straightforward and brutal, fists, feet, elbows, and knees imbued with full power. Boom after boom, she struck the bear's armored body, sparks flying from the impacts. But the Vajra explosive bear was a 10,000-year veteran. Its defense and strength rivaled a human spirit emperor. It roared and swung massive paws that carved through the air and briefly torn apart the poison mist. The sisters were suddenly embroiled in a brutal contest. Several times, Ling Mao narrowly avoided devastating blows. Ling Xin had to maintain and widen the poison domain, searching for openings to corrode the beast's body with toxin. Their long-term practical training in the Heaven Dew City spirit fighting arena paid off. Their teamwork was seamless. Realizing they couldn't force the bear down quickly, they shifted to attrition. Ling Mu became the frontal distraction and harasser, using agility to dodge heavy hits while landing punishing strikes that sapped the bear's stamina. Ling Xin concentrated on sustaining and intensifying the poison domain, stealthily injecting a cocktail of toxins into the bear through its breath and pores to weaken and erode it. Thanks to the solid foundation Qing had laid, countless top-grade medicinal baths and rigorous soul power compression practice, the sisters could outlast the beast. After an hour, the bear's movements slowed. Its dark gold fur dulled, blood-red eyes clouded, and it began coughing up foul black blood, clearly poisoned and exhausted. "Now, sister," Ling Xin called. A cold light flashed in Ling Mao's eyes as her second spirit ring ignited. Second spirit ability, Star Shatterer Heavy Armor. Her silver body was instantly sheathed in thick, hard armor. With pinpoint precision, like a poison dragon drill, she drove into the bear's exposed throat. The lethal strike found its mark. The Vajra explosive bear gave one strangled cry and collapsed, raising a cloud of dust. A black 10,000-year spirit ring, crackling with brutal energy, rose from its corpse. Qing stepped forward calmly and produced a leaf entirely purple and sun-shaped, his first spirit ability, full of vitality purple sun leaf. He handed it to Ling Mao, who was spent and pale. "Well done," he said. "Use this to recover your spirit power, then absorb the spirit ring." Ling Mao swallowed the leaf. Warmth spread through her, and her depleted spirit power surged back. She sat cross-legged and began guiding the black spirit ring, whose energy and lingering resentment battered her mind. Absorbing a 10,000-year spirit ring was far more dangerous than a 1,000-year one. It held vast power and the dying spirit's intense resentment, which could shatter an unprepared mind. Pain crossed Ling Mao's face. Her body trembled and sweat beaded on her brow. Qing stood nearby, his mental force a solid shield, protecting her consciousness and helping to resist the ring's rage, while the life barrier assisted in regulating the volatile energy. The process was long and grueling. 4 hours passed, noon gave way to sunset, then a star-filled night, before Ling Mao opened her eyes. "I succeeded, master. Sister." Her voice was hoarse with fatigue, yet bursting with excitement. "My spirit power reached rank 45. "Good." Qing's smile was satisfied. Absorbing a 10,000-year spirit ring beyond one's level brought immense improvement. Next was Ling Xin's turn. Her chosen opponent was even more dangerous. A so-called mobile natural disaster, the 10,000-year heavenly poison green-armored beast. Part lizard, part crocodile, its body was sheathed in emerald, metallic scales. Its saliva, blood, and secretions carried a poison that could kill on contact, even a spirit emperor. Wherever it walked, life withered and ground blackened. The tracks of such a beast were easy to find, stretches of forest utterly silent and dead. The battle with the green-armored beast proved even more disastrous for the beast than the bear's fight. Ling Xin's poison combat body, honed by countless toxins, was almost completely immune to the beast's poisons. She could even absorb and devour the poisonous gas and liquids it released, turning them into nourishment that strengthened her poison body. Ling Mu's evolved strength and defense handled the frontal clashes, hammering at the beast's vulnerable joints and eyes. The sisters again wore the calamity down through attrition and erosion until the beast finally collapsed. When Ling Xin began absorbing the emerald green 10,000-year spirit ring, an aura that pulsed calamity, something unexpected happened. The beast's prime poison energy resonated with her poison combat body and triggered a striking evolution. On the pitch-black venom suit that clung to her, sinuous green patterns like carved jasper flowed into being. They seemed alive, crawling across the surface and emitting an eerie, dangerous glow. For a moment, she resembled a jasper poison lady, resin from the abyss, beautiful and fatal. Qing watched the transformation with understanding and weight in his eyes. The heavenly poison green-armored beast's origin poison was overwhelming, and it had produced this evolution in Ling Xin's spirit. He made a mental note. When they returned, he would add extra ingredients to the sisters' medicinal baths, especially for little Moore, some stronger stimulants to balance and adapt to her sister's growing toxicity. Otherwise, if the sisters ever fought together in the future, the disparity might become a problem. When Ling Xin stabilized after absorbing the spirit ring and her spirit power reached rank 45, the soul-hunting mission had reached completion. The 4 master and 3 disciples returned laden with results, their journey a full success. 113, 5-star Taoist couple, the Blue Silver Emperor's devotion and generous gifts. Along the way, the most excited person was none other than Dugu Yan, who had just become a spirit master. Like a happy little sparrow, she chirped and flitted around Yu Qing, asking question after question. Master, master, is my first spirit ability, blood poison dragon breath, powerful? How old a spirit beast can it poison? Master, can I absorb 10,000-year spirit rings by jumping ranks in the future, just like Sister Ling Xin and Sister Ling Mao? Master. Yu Qing looked at his young disciple's energetic face and felt good-humored. He answered her questions patiently, his eyes warm with expectation and affection for this uncut jade. The sisters Ling Xin and Ling Mao outwardly remained calm, but the slight curves at the corners of their mouths, the excited glint in their eyes, and the way they kept unconsciously touching the majestic power of the newly acquired 10,000-year spirit rings all betrayed their joy. Rank 45, with a 10,000-year 4th spirit ring, it was an achievement they had never dared imagine. Since it was their master who had bestowed it, their gratitude and adoration for Yu Qing had already reached its peak, and a strong fighting spirit burned in their chests. Just 5 more ranks. Once we reach rank 50, we can do that kind of deep cultivation with Master. At the thought of Sister Duan Xin and Sister Zirui's radiant, expectant faces when they mentioned dual cultivation, both sisters felt their hearts race and their cheeks flush. Shy and focused, they resolved to train even harder. Yu Qing, of course, had no idea of the more outrageous thoughts running through his 2 precious disciples' minds. His thoughts drifted back to the ice and fire yin-yang well and to his 2 pregnant wives. As soon as he returned to the sect, he carefully checked Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuyue, taking their pulses and sensing the fetus's vitality. Having confirmed all was well, he personally prepared medicinal cuisine to stabilize the pregnancies and spent time chatting with them. Aru, Fox Consort, Duanxin, Zirui, and the other women also fussed over the 2 meritorious pregnant sisters, visiting often, sharing pregnancy tips, and creating an atmosphere as harmonious as if they were real sisters. That comforted the Shui sisters, both novices at pregnancy and understandably anxious. On the other hand, Dugu Yan's successful first spirit ring and official spirit master status left her best friend Xiao Wu with a sting of loss. Watching Dugu Yan flaunt her new ability and play with friends, Xiao Wu sat alone on a swing, pouting. Her small hands were still fair and tender, with no fluctuations of spirit power. Her pink rabbit ears drooped. Why? Why has Yan Yan already become a spirit master, but my transformation period isn't over yet? She muttered, sulking. She had always been the kids' champion, Sister Xiao Wu. Now she felt her status threatened. In truth, the children still adored her. She was still the best at fighting. Even her mother Aro felt puzzled and helpless. While 100,000-year spirit beast's transformation could take time, 6 years seemed excessive. Xiao Wu's growth rate was far slower than normal. Yu Qing had a vague suspicion. Xiao Wu's prolonged transformation might be related to the world's corrective force, somehow tied to the future birth of the protagonist, Tang San. Maybe only when Tang San was born would Xiao Wu's transformation truly complete. He sighed inwardly at the world's strange logic and kept the thought to himself. That night, Yu Qing followed habit and went to Aru's room for their nightly yin-yang harmonization and intimate exchange. After the clouds and rain had cleared, they lay together. He idly trailed a hand over Aru's still proud curves. She gave a flirtatious look but didn't stop him. Enjoying the afterglow, her pink eyes flicked and she asked in a slightly hoarse, silk-sweet voice, Qing, it's been so long. Have you finally won over that beautiful blue-silver emperor sister in the next courtyard? Yu Qing's hand paused and he laughed. Why the sudden question? Aru turned serious. Yin is a fine sister. Fox Consort and I worked hard to invite her back from that hammer-wielding oaf. You can't let our effort be wasted. She traced circles on his chest with a slender finger. If you make her one of us sooner, won't our sisterhood gain another powerful ally? Besides, I can see Sister Yin actually likes you. She just hasn't gotten over something from her past. Yu Qing smiled helplessly. You two are more anxious than she is. Aru raised an eyebrow and pinched him. Who are you calling anxious? Ouch! Slip of the tongue. Yu Qing begged for mercy. Feelings should happen naturally. You can't force them. I don't care. Aru flipped and straddled him, looking straight at him with determined, pink-eyed intent. The harmonization is done for tonight. You, now, go to Sister Yin's courtyard and use your charm. Win her over before sunrise. She began shoving him off the bed, refusing to argue. Yu Qing was half laughing, half annoyed. Hey, Aru, this is a little pragmatic, isn't it? Discarding me after. Cut the chatter. She stood up with hands on her hips. What's wrong with sacrificing your looks for the sisterhood's sake? Go, quickly. With that, she hauled at him and, with a final heave, threw him out of the room with his clothes and locked the door from inside. Yu Qing stood in the cool night air and stared at the closed door, dazed for a long moment. He sighed helplessly, but with an eager smile. Shaking his head, he tidied himself and walked toward the elegant little courtyard where Yin lived. The night was long and sleep wouldn't come. Since his wives had been so kind, he could not disappoint them. He knocked gently on Yin's gate. After a moment, the door creaked open and Yin's exquisite, slightly melancholy face appeared. Her blue eyes widened in surprise. Yu Qing, it's late. What brings you here? Yu Qing smiled softly. The moonlight made his expression gentler. Nothing urgent. The moon is beautiful tonight, and I thought I'd come chat. May I come in? Yin stepped aside. The courtyard was small but elegant. In a corner, stalks of blue-silver grass she had nurtured with her origin power cast a faint blue glow, making the space dreamlike. They sat at a tiny stone table. Yu Qing noticed a wine jar and a single cup already on the table. Can't sleep? He asked quietly. Drinking alone? Yin lowered her eyes, lashes casting shadows. She lifted her cup and took a small sip. Wine. Sometimes helps me forget things I don't want to remember. Understanding, Yu Qing retrieved a mud-sealed wine jar from his storage spirit tool, its seal intact and the clay weathered. He had also prepared several plates of delicate side dishes. Drinking alone is too lonely. He broke the seal. The wine's aroma rose, rich but mellow, with a hint of peach blossom. This is my own peach blossom brew. Care to try? Yin's eyes brightened. She accepted the refill, sniffed, and then drained it at one. The brew was smooth and warming. A gentle current seemed to ease the gloom in her chest and brought relaxation to her limbs. Good wine, she praised, a rare smile softening her cool features. The best I've tasted. Yu Qing poured himself a cup and smiled. Only fine wine and good food must not be wasted. A compliment from Miss Yin means my brewing skills haven't gone to waste. She regarded him, gentle, knowledgeable, capable, yet approachable, and felt admiration. You are the most carefree and the most adept at enjoying life of all the humans I have met. He shook his head and sipped, looking at the bright moon with a trace of bittersweet recollection. Carefree? Perhaps. I've been through too much. Now that I've made it through, I want to live freely so I won't regret coming to this world. They spoke casually, on brewing, on local customs, on life and the future, tasting the wine and the snacks. The conversation flowed naturally, like a moonlit chat between old friends. Unnoticed, Yu Qing's jar emptied. Yin's cheeks had two charming blushes, and her eyes were softer and brighter. Yu Qing felt the timing was right. He set down his cup. Let's stop here for tonight. Wine is good, but too much is never wise. If you want to drink again, come find me. He rose to leave, but Yin stood too and gently grabbed his sleeve. Yu Qing turned. What is it, Yin? She lifted her head. Her eyes clear as sapphires were steady. The melancholy was gone, replaced by a resolute light. She inhaled and spoke, decisive and calm. Yu Qing, I know you have many wives, and I know there may be more in your future, but I don't care about that. I have let go of that person, that past. He is no longer an obstacle in my heart. She stepped forward and bravely extended her fair, slender hand. Her gaze was earnest. So, Yu Qing, will you marry me? The sudden directness left Yu Qing momentarily stunned. He looked at the blue-silver emperor before him, her expression open, unguarded, and felt a surge of indescribable warmth and joy. Without hesitation, he took her hand and smiled broadly. Of course, it would be my honor, Ah Yin. Her face lit like sunlight through a blue-silver forest. She squeezed his hand, urgency and hope coloring her tone. I heard from Sister Ru that you have a mysterious divine contract ability that heaven and earth will recognize. If we sign, we will be true Tao companions and can perform that wonderful dual cultivation. I want to sign it now. May we? Delighted, Yu Qing did not say more, but willed it. Buzz, a golden contract document, exuding an ancient sacred aura, manifested between them, floating and glowing warmly. Ah Yin, curious and resolute, bit her fingertip and let a drop of blue-gold blood fall upon it. The contract flared with dazzling light. A pure white holy light and a deep, dark radiance intertwined and spiraled. The white light entered Yu Qing's body while the dark light embedded in the center of Ah Yin's forehead. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully contracting a 5-star Tao Companion. Ah Yin. Rewards: Tao Companion Treasure Chest X3, 100,000 Yin-Yang points, Spirit Source X5, External Spirit Bone, 8 Spider Lances. Spider Lances. Tao Companion, Ah Yin, age 2600, psychological age, Brahmni, Spirit Power Rank, Spirit Ring Configuration, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black. Beauty Score 98, exquisitely beautiful, Spirit of Nature, Innate Soul Power, 10, Innate Full Soul Power, Comprehensive Star Rank, Favorability, 80, Heartfelt Trust. The system notifications rang clearly in Yu Qing's mind. When it announced, External Spirit Bone, 8 Spider Lances, his eyes shone. That was a top-tier treasure he had never managed to obtain from the system mall. Its value surpassed even an ordinary 10,000-year spirit bone. He had not expected contracting Ah Yin to reward him with it. Overcome with excitement, Yu Qing scooped Ah Yin up and spun her around, shouting, Ah Yin, you truly are my lucky star. Startled, she instinctively hugged his neck. Hearing him, her face flushed beet red, and she whispered, embarrassed, It's not that exaggerated. He set her down gently, cupped her face with burning tenderness. Not exaggerated at all, Ah Yin. The surprise you've given me is beyond imagination. His gaze adored her like a priceless treasure. Ding! Ah Yin's favorability +5, current favorability 85. Feeling the heat and sincerity of his eyes, the last of Ah Yin's unease disappeared, replaced by pure happiness. She took his hand, and her voice trembled sweetly. Then, husband, the spring night is short. Let's not waste Sister Ru's kindness, shall we? She lowered her head and, blushing, led him toward her boudoir. That night, under the moonlight, the blue-silver emperor quietly entrusted herself to the husband she had chosen. The moon poured like water over the courtyard, offering a silent blessing to the new couple. 114. All Spirits Compendium. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight filtered through the window and fell softly across the bed, Yu Qing opened his eyes. He turned his head and watched Ah Yin sleeping beside him. After last night, her delicate face, once tinged with melancholy and a cool reserve, now glowed with a quiet satisfaction and a peacefulness that suited her like a clear mountain spring. Her beauty was neither the fierceness of Aru nor the alluring seductiveness of the fox consort. It was pure and gentle, like water that nurtures without a sound, drawing one in without realizing it. Careful not to wake her, Yu Qing slid his arm from under her head and tucked the edges of the quilt around her. He dressed quietly, paused to take one last satisfied look at her sleeping face, then slipped out the door and walked back to the main house to wash and prepare breakfast for his wives. He had just reached the main house doorway when the door frame was blocked from either side. Aru and the fox consort stood there, leaning in the frame with teasing, knowing smiles, their eyes running over Yu Qing with the look of people who already knew everything. Oh, Aru drawled, her tone thick with mockery. Our busy husband finally decides to come home after working all night. The fox consort covered her mouth and chuckled, her fox-like eyes bright with mischief. Looks like things turned out well. So, husband, how many rounds did you spar with the new Sister Ah Yin last night? Yu Qing found himself at a loss under their coordinated interrogation. He scratched his cheek and answered vaguely, Ahem, not that many. Before he could elaborate, a purple blur launched itself at him from behind. Purple Pearl wrapped him tight, soft, and springy against his back. Husband, she chirped, breathless with curiosity. Quick, tell us, what's Sister Ah Yin's figure like? How does she feel to touch? Whose skin feels better, her or us? That was even bolder than the fox consort's question. Yu Qing flushed scarlet, reached back, and flicked Purple Pearl square on the forehead. Ouch! She cried, rubbing the spot and feigning pain with watery, pitiful eyes. Husband, you bully me. He shook his head at her antics. You're getting more and more unruly. Your head's full of filthy thoughts. Purple Pearl stuck out her lips in a pout. I'm just curious. I want to know how strong our new sister is. She deliberately emphasized the word strong. Unable to resist their collective persistence, Yu Qing finally gave in. A reminiscent, proud smile touched his mouth as he lowered his voice and dragged the words out for effect. I can only say, he paused until the three women leaned forward, then finished. Very nice. Purple Pearl squealed. Aru and the fox consort flashed competitive looks. The three of them, the lewd trio of his harem, immediately launched into bold questions and playful physical teasing, trying to worm more details out of him. Yu Qing handled their onslaught with the easy composure of someone used to such siege, all the while getting breakfast ready with one hand. Soon, the house filled with the aroma of food, which made the three women swallow hungrily. After finishing, Yu Qing personally brought the specially prepared medicinal dishes to the pregnant Shui Wuxiang and Shui Wuyue. Then he went to Ah Yin's courtyard and gently woke her, leading the still-flushed Ah Yin to the dining room to join the family breakfast. Everyone ate together, laughed, and chatted in a warm, harmonious atmosphere. Yu Qing watched the scene with a satisfied heart, but when his gaze landed on Ah Yin, quietly sipping her porridge, a flicker of worry touched him. Ah Yin was now his wife. According to the previous trajectory of fate, the protagonist Tang San was supposed to be born from her. If that still happened, if Tang San were somehow reincarnated into this world as his son, how should Yu Qing treat him? As a father to be showered with love, like Longer and Taner, or approached with caution? The thought of Tang San's reckless personality and the complex corrective forces that might cling to him gave Yu Qing a headache. He remembered what Aru and the others had said. After losing Ah Yin, Tang Hao had paired with another human-formed dragon lust tree. Would Tang San still be born from that dragon lust tree? The questions deepened his frown. He exhaled slowly to calm himself and decided he would have to keep a close watch on Tang Hao and his future offspring. If Tang San still appeared, it would at least mean the future Yu Qing knew hadn't diverged too far. He could keep some advantage. The problem was how to surveil Tang Hao without being noticed. Tang Hao was, after all, the future clear sky Douluo with extraordinarily sharp perception. Ordinary monitoring would be detected. Finally, Yu Qing settled on a plan. He would separate a strand of his soul origin and refine it into a soul incarnation. A simple intelligence that could exist for a very long time and be extremely hard to detect. He would send that incarnation to the place Tang Hao was most likely to seclude himself in the future, Saint Spirit Village. If Tang Hao followed the original plot and retreated to Saint Spirit Village with Tang San after their conflict with Qian Shunji, the incarnation would be perfectly placed. If the plot changed because of his interference and they didn't go there, he might have to secretly guide them or even fan the flames to lead them to that village. If not for the Asura god's involvement, Yu Qing wouldn't bother with such complications. Having decided, he pushed the tangled thoughts aside and returned to his warm daily life with his wives. That night, he visited Ah Yin again. They shared wine and discussed details of the blue-silver grass tribe's future migration to the ice and fire yin-yang well. The atmosphere was gentle and close. Before leaving, Yu Qing spoke softly to her. Ah Yin, come to my room tomorrow morning. We'll do our first formal dual cultivation. Ah Yin's face bloomed into a faint blush. She nodded and murmured, understand. After leaving Ah Yin's courtyard, Yu Qing meant to go straight back to his room, but he was intercepted. The fox consort, who had been waiting, wrapped herself around him like silk. Husband, she cooed, the night's long and my room's lonely. Why not accompany me for some in-depth night exercise? He was obliged to oblige. After 2 hearty rounds of yin-yang harmonization, the fox consort licked her lips contentedly, then, without lingering, pushed him out and shut the door with a thud. Standing in the cool night air, Qing shook his head with a wry smile. "These girls are getting heartless, throwing me out as soon as they're done," he muttered. Behind him, Purple Pearl's bright voice answered, "That's because I'm waiting here to take over the relay." Before he could react, she leapt onto his back, wrapping her legs around his waist. "Let's go. Tonight it's Pearl's turn to squeeze you dry." So he was pulled off again. When he finally stumbled back into his own bed, exhausted but oddly refreshed, dawn was near. He lay on the soft mattress, breathed deeply, and closed his eyes. His consciousness slipped into system space. 5 Tao companion treasure chests floated before him, each glowing enticingly. 1 for Shui Wuxiang, 1 for Shui Wuyue, and 3 for Ma Yin. It had been a long time since he'd opened treasure chests, and his hands trembled with anticipation. He opened Shui Wuxiang's chest first. It dissolved into starlight and revealed 3 items. 10,000-year ice marrow ice 3, an ice-type supreme treasure condensed in the heart of the far north. It contains ultimate ice energy and is unrivaled for tempering and enhancing ice attribute spirits. Frost-feathered ice sculpture spirit soul, 70,000 years. A top-tier ice spirit soul with a trace of ice phoenix bloodline. Extremely intelligent and possessing immense potential. Soul Ring Age Card, 20,000 years, Bike 1. Instantly increases the age of a designated spirit ring by 20,000 years. "Not bad," Qing murmured. The ice marrow and frost-feathered ice sculpture would be perfect for Wuxiang. With them, she might evolve her Ningbing Feiluan toward a true ultimate ice attribute, or even toward an ice phoenix. Next, he opened Shui Wuyue's chest. It, too, contained 3 items. Heavy Water Spirit Pearl, an innate water spirit object that greatly enhances the quality and control of water attribute spirit power. Tianshui Phoenix Feather, a feather shed by a legendary water phoenix containing pure water phoenix origin power, very beneficial for avian water attribute spirits. Spirit Power Crystal, black, a crystal of pure spirit power that can be absorbed to increase rank. Also very good, he said, smiling wider. The Heavy Water Spirit Pearl and Tianshui Phoenix Feather seemed made for Wu Yue. Perhaps they could awaken a trace of phoenix bloodline in her spirit. Finally, he opened the 3 treasure chests from Ah Yin. He held his breath and opened them in sequence, but instead of a flood of loot, each chest revealed a single item, each wreathed in dazzling golden luck. Artificial Spirit Soul Technology. Divine Rank. A complete, detailed, mass-producible system for manufacturing artificial spirit souls, covering spirit souls from 10 years to 100,000 years in age. It includes step-by-step instruction and foolproof operation. With sufficient spirit tool technology and materials, mass production of 100,000-year spirit souls is theoretically possible. Note, artificial spirit souls can undergo up to 3 growth evolutions. Their potential and spirituality are slightly inferior to natural spirit souls, or those transformed voluntarily by their host. Life Gold, Divine Rank, the supreme crystal of fundamental life force condensed from a plane. Its life energy is vast and pure, with extraordinary effects. Rapid cultivation increases, strengthening the sea of consciousness, healing physical wounds, aiding divine sense recovery, and even complete transformation. It provides immeasurable benefits to both spirit masters and spirit beasts. Note, it has significant therapeutic effects on severe injuries at first-class divinity. Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex, Divine Artifact, a divine rank spirit tool with its own internal space and a trace of the law of world evolution. Function, it can record any spirit beast scanned by its light, including species, habits, bloodline, and potential, and open a dedicated ecological space inside the codex best suited for that species to survive. The more species recorded, the larger and more complete the internal space becomes. It can even accelerate spirit beast growth, eventually evolving into a true miniature world. Note, a supreme divine artifact for nurturing spirit beast tribes. Qing stared at the descriptions in a daze, then felt a swelling rush of joy. His breath came fast. This, his voice trembled. Artificial spirit soul technology, life gold, and his gaze fixed on the jade-white Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex. A fierce, bright light flared in his eyes. He could hardly contain himself in system space as he reached out with his consciousness and lifted the codex, letting his awareness glide over its cool, smooth surface. This was far beyond what he had hoped for. It wasn't just storage. It was a true divine artifact capable of nurturing ecosystems. With this, he would no longer worry about where to settle the spirit beast tribes he gathered. The ice and fire yin-yang well was useful, but limited and peculiar in environment. Not every spirit beast could adapt. With the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex, he could tailor ideal habitats for every tribe. The blue-silver grass tribe, the cloud-shading vine tribe, and in the future the core tribes of the Stardew Great Forest, the spirit beasts of the extreme north, and even ocean spirit beasts. He could move them all in. No matter how many came, he would take them all. This was the true kingdom of myriad beasts, his own Noah's Ark. Qing felt his heart surge with the image of it, and the future suddenly seemed boundless. 115. The Soul Transfer Project begins. After stowing away the divine artifact, the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex, Qing left the system space. He summoned the external spirit bone, the 8 spider lances. They looked grotesque in form, yet strangely beautiful. 8 spider lances, he murmured, inspecting the external spirit bone that had given Tongsan such a head start in the original story. Curiosity and anticipation flickered in his eyes. Let's see what the system-made 8 spider lances can do. He sat cross-legged, focused his mind, and guided his spirit power to fuse with the bone. The process was unexpectedly smooth, meeting almost no resistance. The 8 sharp spider legs, rhymed with starlight, merged seamlessly along his spine. Under his mental control, they moved as naturally as his own limbs, extending and retracting at will. What surprised him most was how different these system-produced lances were from what he remembered. They weren't the dark purple-black he knew, but a deep midnight blue like a contained starry sky. Tiny diamond-like sparks dotted their surface, as if slow-flowing starlight had been frozen into them. Their aura was not cold and venomous, but vast and pure. Star power. This, a star attribute 8 spider lances? Qing's surprise turned into delight. He felt them as a living, growing organism, constantly drawing in the star power in the air and converting it into a gentle, nourishing force that strengthened his spirit power and spirit bone. Excited, he flicked the spider legs. Brilliant blue trails streaked through the air. Perfect. No need to hunt and devour man-faced demon spiders like Tangsan. I can just accumulate star power and let them evolve to divine rank naturally. He envisioned an even easier fusion once they had evolved. Early the next morning, Qing woke refreshed. The Star 8 spider lances felt perfectly fused to his back, as if they had grown there. In high spirits, he went to find Duanshin and Zirui sparring in the courtyard. "Shiner, Rui," he called, grinning. "Come look at this." They stopped and gathered around. With a flick of his wrist, the jade-white Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex appeared in his palm. Duanshin blinked her crimson dragon eyes. "What is it, husband?" Qing smiled mysteriously. "Summon your Ember Dragon and the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor." Puzzled but obedient, the 2 women commanded their spirits. A mini Ember Dragon landed on Duanzin's shoulder with a low roar. The pocket-sized form of the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor fluttered beside Zirui. Qing scanned them with the codex. The small screen beeped and displayed clear data. Species, Ember Dragon, bloodline grade, top tier. Description, a pure-blood dragon clan of the fire attribute. Its flames have annihilative power, extraordinarily strong, can kill a 100,000-year spirit beast, even with a 10,000-year body. Species, cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor, high-level mutation. Potential, description, evolved from the low-level cloud-shading vine. The emperor of its species, proficient in illusions and mental force, impressive individual strength. "Wow!" Duanshin and Zirui cried together. "It can read the Ember Dragon and Flower Emperor's details?" A prompt then appeared at the top of the codex screen. "Recording complete. Exclusive ecological space generated. Current total space area, 150,000 square meters." 150,000 square meters, Qing murmured, doing a quick mental conversion. About the size of the Forbidden City. That should be more than enough for the cloud-shading vine and blue-silver grass clans for now. Duanshin, impatient, asked, "What exactly is this? Why is it so special?" Yu Qing explained, smiling. It's a divine artifact, the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex. It can record information on any spirit beast and create an internal ecological space ideally suited to their survival. Any spirit beast we record that comes to the Yin-Yang sect will have a place to live. A divine artifact? The two women gaped. Is it from a god trial? He nodded. A gentle voice of surprise came from nearby. Aru had wandered over and was examining the plain white device in Yu Qing's hand. Duan Xin pulled her forward. Husband completed a god trial. The reward is a divine artifact. Fox Consort leaned in as well, her fox-like eyes gleaming. Oh, a divine artifact? Husband, can you record us too? That's exactly what I planned, Yu Qing said with a laugh. He scanned Aru and Fox Consort. The codex beeped again. Species, soft bones, jade rabbit, mutating. Bloodline grade, top tier mutating. Description, a mutated soft bones rabbit. After evolving into a soft bones demon rabbit, it can reach 100,000-year levels, currently undergoing continuous mutation due to a specific cultivation technique. Species, three-eyed demon fox, bloodline gravel. Description, the king among three-eyed demon foxes, 100,000-year spirit beast, extremely proficient in illusions and mental force. Wow, our info is displayed too, Aru gasped. Fox Consort read her description, pleased. The king among three-eyed demon foxes. I like that. As their records were stored, the codex's ecological space expanded, doubling from 150,000 square meters to 300,000. Yu Qing inwardly rejoiced. Once Yin is recorded, it should reach at least 500,000 square meters. Plenty of room for the cloud-shading vine and blue-silver grass clans. Just then, a blue silhouette appeared at the courtyard gate. Yin. She watched the lively scene, and when her gaze met Yu Qing's, it landed gently, but she blushed, remembering his dual cultivation together remark the night before. Yu Qing noticed immediately and calmly raised the codex to scan her. Beep. The screen lit up like a blast of sunlight. Species, blue-silver emperor of Eingrank. Potential, 5 stars. Description, emperor of all blue-silver grass on the Douluo Continent. Incarnation of life and nature, nearly infinite vitality and evolutionary potential. Yu Qing's pupils constricted. Divine rank bloodline, 6-star potential, far beyond his expectations. As the codex recorded Yin, its internal space rocketed again, breaking past the 1 million square meter mark. The ecological laws inside became more complete, the life aura richer. Suppressing his excitement, Yu Qing stepped forward, naturally took Yin's hand, and led her inside. Yin, perfect timing, he said softly. After breakfast, let's do dual cultivation together. Yin froze, then stammered, cheeks flaming. Dual cultivation? With the sisters? Her mind skittered to indecent images, and she was mortified. Duan Xin laughed. There's strength in numbers. Cultivating together raises efficiency. It's better than one-on-one. Purple Pearl leaned in, giggling. Sister Yin, don't worry. After we cultivate together, you'll be the one encouraging us next time. Yin's embarrassment deepened. She felt a flicker of resistance, but at the sight of Yu Qing's expectant eyes, she could not refuse. She bit her lip and murmured, just this once, okay? After breakfast, the 7 of them entered a spacious, quiet room set aside for collective cultivation. Yin's eyes widened at what happened next. Aru, Fox Consort, and Purple Pearl began to unfasten their clothing and soon stood naked, each a masterpiece of form. Yin was utterly petrified, her face a vivid crimson. They. How can they? Yu Qing allowed himself a brief look before composing his voice and speaking to the stunned Yin. Don't just stand there. Dual cultivation needs as much direct contact as possible to aid the fusion and circulation of spirit power and mental force. Clothes interfere. Yin's misunderstanding collapsed into a mix of embarrassment and a softer disappointment. She hurriedly disrobed, cheeks burning, and hid behind Aru to cover herself. Yu Qing guided the 6 women to sit in a circle, palms touching. Close your eyes. Relax body and mind, he instructed, his voice deep and steady. Under his lead, 6 streams of spirit power and mental force, different in strength and attribute but equally pure, connected and formed a remarkably stable cycle. Energy surged through the 7 bodies, blending and refining. A sense of vast warmth and comfort washed over them, an intense pleasure like the soul trembling and ascending. Yin, experiencing this communal cultivation for the first time, was astonished. She had never imagined cultivation could feel so efficient, so profound. In that state of seeming unity with heaven and earth, time lost its meaning. When the session finally wound down, Yin came back from the afterglow reluctantly. Her sisters were putting clothes back on. She felt a tinge of loss that it had ended, but mostly relief that it had been purely cultivation. As she dressed, she leaned toward Aru and Purple Pearl, asking in a low, flushed voice, "Why did the three of you strip?" Purple Pearl laughed as if it were obvious. "To show off for husband. If things please his eyes, he cultivates with more vigor." Aru smiled softly. "I'm used to it. In the past, after reconciling, we would cultivate together, and clothes were awkward. Now, I just want a Qing to see me in my best." Yin considered their replies, looked at her own perfect form, and then at Yu Qing watching them with a fond smile. A decision settled on her features. "I'll do the same in the future." In the days that followed, Yu Qing systematically taught Yin to refine the yin-yang power from dual cultivation and the crucial soul power compression method. With Yin added, a 5-star Dao companion with a divine rank blue-silver emperor bloodline, the group's efficiency rose again. The spirit power and mental force they gained together far exceeded before. Yu Qing and Yin, both strong in life attributes, emitted life energy during cultivation that subtly cleansed and nourished the others' bodies and souls, strengthening their origins and extending their lifespans. It became a virtuous cycle that benefited everyone. While cultivating and tending his wives, Yu Qing never neglected his 2 pregnant darlings, Shui Wuyue and Shui Wuxiang. He prepared prenatal medicinal cuisine, checked their pulses, and kept them company. One day, while walking with them, he hesitated before speaking. "Yuer, Shang-er, I'm going to have to leave the ice and fire yin-yang no more." "Well, for a while in a few days," he said. They both paused, surprised and reluctant. Yu Qing explained, "I need to migrate the cloud-shading vine group from the Star-Do Great Forest and the Blue-Silver Grass Clan from the Blue-Silver Forest into our ecological space. It might take at least 2 or 3 months, and at most half a year." Shui Wuxiang, though uneasy, nodded. "Go with peace of mind. Be careful on the road." Shui Wei stroked her slightly rounded belly, eyes misting. "Husband, come back early. If the child is born before you return, you'll miss the first meeting. How regrettable." Yu Qing's heart softened. He placed his hands gently on their bellies. "I promise. I'll finish the work as quickly as possible. At most half a year. I'll be back. And when I'm back, I'll stay with you and watch our child grow." They nuzzled into his embrace and whispered blessings. After comforting his pregnant wives, Yu Qing returned to the main house and explained his soul transfer plan to the others. All 6 women supported the plan. It concerned the yin-yang sect's future foundation. After discussion, they decided only 2 would accompany him, Zirui and Yin. Zirui's spirit, the cloud-shrouding flower emperor, was the emperor of the cloud-shading vine group and essential for guiding its migration. Yin, as emperor of the blue-silver grass, was indispensable for moving her clan and for informing her people about her husband. The others would stay to guard the base, to protect the pregnant women, and to continue teaching disciples and running the sect. With affairs arranged, Yu Qing took Zirui and Yin, said farewell to everyone, and left the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang well to begin the soul transfer project. 116. Yu Qing, who wants to become a collector, leaving the Ice and Fire Yin-Yang. Well, Yu Qing and his 2 companions did not rush. They paused first in the Sunset Forest, where he produced the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex with the excitement of a child with a new toy. "I'll take this chance to test the codex on the spirit beasts here," he told Yin and Zirui. From the most common lonely bamboo, mottled cat, and nether wolf to rarer finds like the azure vine, blood tiger, vajra bear, and vigorous gorilla, Yu Qing became a tireless collector. He held the codex up and scanned every strange creature they encountered, day and night. Beep, beep, beep. The device chirped continuously while data streamed across its display, recording and archiving. Each newly recorded beast expanded the codex's internal ecological space, sometimes by 500 square meters, sometimes by 10,000. When the last storm devil wolf, 10,000 years old, was finally cataloged, Yu Qing stopped the scanner with a satisfied grin and checked the total. 1,600,000 square meters, he murmured, pleasure mingled with a trace of regret. Not bad, but the spirit beasts in the Sunset Forest, in both variety and number, still pale compared to the Stardew Great Forest. The thought of recording the thousands of species rumored to live in the Stardew Great Forest lit a feverish fire in him. If I could register them all, how huge would this internal space become? It might evolve into a small world. The idea swelled until he could hardly contain his anticipation. Let's go. He stowed the codex and, with a sweep of his hand, set their destination, Stardew Great Forest. This time, he did not travel leisurely. He activated the space travel technique he had developed using Star Flash as a template, fusing the spatial power of his head spirit bone with his star power, the technique he called Space Shuttle. He drew Ah Yin and Zirui close, and, with a thought, the silver spatial field around them rippled. The three instantly vanished and reappeared several kilometers away. Repeating the teleportations, they moved astonishingly fast. Even in transit, Qing did not neglect their daily cultivation. Whenever they paused in a remote grove or mountain, the three would engage in a yin-yang conjunction, intimate, mutually beneficial cultivation that strengthened body and spirit and accelerated their progress. If they stopped in a bustling town, they would rent a superior room and continue their mutual harmonization. Sometimes Qing would finish a deep cultivation session with Ah Yin, and, before they could linger, Zirui would push the door open with a smile and naturally begin to undress, drawing them both into a three-person session. At first, Ah Yin, bashful and thin-skinned, was mortified. She would still be trembling in the afterglow when she had to plunge into the next round of serious cultivation. Over time, she grew accustomed to it and even found a new, intoxicating sense of security and belonging. The shame faded, the speed of cultivation more than made up for the awkwardness. Thanks to Space Shuttle and their relentless cultivation, a journey that once would have taken at least 2 months took them only 1. They arrived in the familiar town on the fringe of the Stardew Great Forest in short order and booked the best room at the inn. "How's that for efficiency?" Qing asked, pleased as he stepped into the room. Zirui's eyes shone with admiration. "It's more than efficient. Husband, it's a divine technique. Before, even if Sister Ru and I rushed, it would take at least 2 months from the ice and fire yin-yang well. Now we've cut the time in half, and there's more time for cultivation," she sighed happily. Qing grinned with the confident air of a man with a secret weapon. "That's only part of it. In combat, appearing behind an enemy in an instant, cutting down the general in the heat of battle, that's where Space Shuttle truly shines." He began to remove his cyan robe, dust-streaked from travel, revealing a well-built torso as he prepared to shower. Zirui's eyes flashed mischievously. She started to unbutton her dress and giggled. "Husband, wait. Let's shower together. Saves water." They dropped their outer garments onto a chair and went into the bathroom wrapped in each other. Splashes, subtle noises, and light laughter drifted out. Ah Yin, left alone on the bed, blushed crimson. She buried her face in a pillow and mumbled to herself, "Hurry up, hurry up." Half an hour later, the bathroom door clicked open. Zirui stepped out, wrapped in a towel, skin shining and every curve revealed. She laughed when she saw Ah Yin hiding under the pillow, changed into clean clothes, leaned close, and whispered, "Sister Ah Yin, I'm going out to buy some local snacks. Next, it's your turn. Enjoy yourself." Then she left, humming, and closed the door behind her. Ah Yin tore the pillow from her head and had barely exhaled when Qing emerged, towel around his waist, drying his hair. His confident smile and glance made her catch her breath. Naturally, the expected yin-yang harmonization followed, 3,000 words omitted here. They finished and lay tangled in the afterglow when there was a knock on the door. Zirui came back in with a bag of fragrant local specialties and a grin. "Just in time," she teased at the couple on the bed. The three then performed their 5-day communal yin-yang conjunction. Early the next morning, they rose refreshed. Qing cooked, turning the fresh provisions into a fragrant mushroom stew with spirit beast meat and several roast chickens, crispy outside, tender inside, along with his own marinated side dishes. After a hearty meal, they stepped into the vast Stardew Great Forest in high spirits. Once inside, Qing activated Space Shuttle again. They flickered in and out among the trees, each jump spanning 100 miles or so. As his mastery of spatial power deepened, the distance per shuttle increased. After only about 30 jumps, they had crossed the perilous mixed zone, terrain that would have taken ordinary spirit masters months to traverse, and might have cost them their lives, and arrived at the edge of the lake of life at the forest's core. The speed was more than 10 times their previous attempt, which had taken a grueling week. No sooner had they stepped near the lake of life than the water erupted. A massive green, bull-headed python rose slowly, its enormous snake eyes lantern-bright and alert. At the same time, the ground vibrated with rhythmic thumps, and a mountain-sized figure covered in black fur strode from the trees, each step making the earth tremble. The two kings of the Stardew Great Forest, Sky Azure Bull Python Daming and Titan Giant Ape Air Ming, had been drawn by the obvious spatial ripples. At first, their expressions were hostile, but those attitudes changed in an instant when they recognized Yu Qing. "Uncle Qing!" Ming's thunderous voice rolled out as it strode forward, craning its massive head to look behind Yu Qing. "Did Xiao Wu not come with you this time?" Yu Qing smiled. "Xiao Wu is still in a critical stage of transformation. She didn't come." Ming's face drooped. "Oh." The huge ape's disappointment was plain. Yu Qing couldn't help laughing at the forlorn look on the Beast King's face and changed the subject. "I actually came to take the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor clansmen away." Ming's head sank even lower. "Oh." It looked like a big dog who'd been left behind. Yu Qing's smile widened. "But if you really want to see Xiao Wu that badly, I can take you there." "Really?" Ming's enormous frame shook with disbelief and then with joy. "Uncle Qing, are you serious?" Even the usually restrained Daming leaned in, its deep snake eyes alight with curiosity. "Uncle Qing, what method? How can you hide my presence from all humans?" Yu Qing produced the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex with a slow smile. "The method is this." He held the codex up and scanned the two colossal kings. Beep, beep, the screen filled with data. Race, Sky Azure Bull Python, bloodline grade top tier. Introduction: one of the kings of the Stardew Great Forest, bearing a trace of the Dragon Clan bloodline. Power comparable to a level 96 Super Douluo. At full strength, even a level 97 Super Douluo would struggle to defeat it. Race, Titanline grade, top tier. Introduction: another king of the Stardew Great Forest. At only 100 years old, it can hard counter 10,000-year spirit beasts. Exceptional strength and defense, foes must flee or die. Recording complete. Exclusive ecological space generated. Space expanded by 400,000 square meters. Current total space area, 3,000 square meters. 3 million square meters. Yu Qing's eyes shone with astonishment as the codex reported the results. As expected of the kings of the Stardew Great Forest, their weight is incredible. By recording Daming and Ming, the codex's internal ecological space had jumped by 400,000 square meters, bringing the total to a staggering 3 million. The haul only fueled Yu Qing's burning ambition. The idea of cataloging every spirit beast in the Stardew Great Forest now burned brighter than ever. 117. Blue-Silver Forest. "How about it?" Yu Qing asked, shaking the Myriad Beast Illustrated Codex in his hand. "Do you want to go in and see for yourselves right now?" Daming and Ming exchanged looks. Both were wildly curious and a little incredulous that small white tablet could possibly hold bodies as massive as theirs, but they trusted Yu Qing completely, so they nodded without hesitation. "All right," Daming replied in his slow, steady voice. "We will do as Uncle Qing says." "I want to try too! I want to try too!" Ming shouted, his voice muffled but eager, his huge palms thumping his chest with excited bangs. Yu Qing smiled. He raised the codex, aimed it at the slightly smaller of the two, Daming, the Sky Azure Bull Python, and focused. A soft pillar of white light shot from the front of the codex and wrapped precisely around Daming's enormous body. Under that shroud of white light, Daming's terrifying bulk, over 100 meters long and as thick as a water vat, shrunk visibly as if compressed by an invisible force. In a blink, he became a green snake no thicker than a finger and was drawn into the codex with a whoosh. He showed no pain or resistance, as if the transfer were perfectly ordinary. Zi Rui burst out in wonder. "Husband, This myriad beast illustrated codex truly lives up to its name. It can hold such a colossal spirit beast like it's nothing. Ah Yin's bright blue eyes shone with surprise and excitement. Amazing, if that's the case. Moving my clansmen would be so much easier. Even the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor, whose spirit soul had been staying in Zirui's seventh ring, manifested now. Her tiny flower fairy form hovered in the air, wings translucent as she examined the codex with curiosity and awe. Yu Qing then brought Erming into the codex the same way. After a short while, he didn't release them immediately. He waited so the two beast kings could adapt to the vast myriad beast space inside the artifact. About the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he activated the codex again. With a flash, Daming and Erming's massive bodies reappeared whole on the shore of the Lake of Life. "How does it feel?" Yu Qing asked with a smile. "Was the space comfortable?" Daming nodded slightly, a faint wonder flickering in his steady snake eyes. "Very large, vast. The energy inside isn't as pure or dense as the Lake of Life, but it's far more abundant than most places in the outside world. For the vast majority of spirit beasts, that place would be an excellent land for cultivation and habitation." Erming, less inclined to evaluate environments, impatiently pressed forward, his ape-like eyes blazing. "This way I'll be able to see Xiao Wu. Uncle Qing, take me there quickly." Yu Qing laughed. "Of course." He grew more serious, however, and told Daming his other, more important purpose. "Besides visiting you, I came for another reason. I hope to use your strength and your prestige in the Stardew Great Forest to help me record as many spirit beasts as possible." He raised the codex. The more species this divine artifact records, the larger its internal space becomes, and the better its rules. "Will you help?" Daming's eyes flickered as he weighed the request. Then he nodded slowly. "All right. As long as it doesn't involve slaughtering spirit beasts, I will help," he added firmly. For the next half-month, the Sky Azure Bull Python acted as guide and guarantor, leading Yu Qing, Zirui, and Ah Yin through the danger-filled mix zone and the core outskirts of the Lake of Life. With Daming's presence and deterrent aura, their work went extraordinarily smoothly. Top-tier and elusive spirit beasts, those usually difficult to track or with special concealment, revealed themselves or tacitly allowed Yu Qing to scan them after sensing Daming's unmistakable 100,000-year aura. Some intelligent, powerful spirit beasts who trusted Daming agreed to enter the myriad beast space willingly, to live there for a while and be recorded. It was an unexpected boon. When Yu Qing finished this biological census, the codex's internal space had expanded to 1.5 million square kilometers, almost the size of a medium kingdom. Yu Qing felt a deep satisfaction as he read the dense list of species and detailed records filling the codex. He thanked Daming sincerely. "Daming, I really owe you. Without your help, I could never have recorded so many spirit beasts so quickly." Daming shook his great head. "You're welcome, Uncle Qing. If your divine artifact can give them a better home and breeding ground, then it's worth it." After that, Yu Qing turned to the other core tasks. First was the migration of the cloud-shading vine tribe, the clansmen of the cloud-shrouding Flower Emperor. Guided by the Emperor's spirit, they returned to the familiar mist-shrouded canyon. The Flower Emperor entered and, issuing her sovereign aura and mental call, quickly communicated with her tribe. The cloud-shading vines were enthusiastic at the prospect of a new home richer in energy. In half a day, every vine over 100 years old that had developed spirit power, roots and soil and all, was taken into the myriad beast space by Yu Qing's codex. Looking at the now barren canyon, Yu Qing nodded. Done. Next stop, the Forest of the Demon Fox. With Daming's help, he visited the Forest of the Demon Fox, where Fox Consort had once lived. After explanations from Daming and Ah Yin, the three-eyed demon fox tribe and several related fox-type spirit beasts agreed to enter the myriad beast space. With that, Yu Qing's main goals in the Stardew Great Forest were accomplished. He still planned to go to another forest to fetch Ah Yin's clansmen, but when he invited Daming to come, the Great Guardian shook his head. "I won't be going, Uncle Qing," Daming said quietly. "I am the guardian of the Lake of Life. Watching over this place is my duty. I cannot leave." Yu Qing's eyes flickered. He looked at Daming, then toward the Lake of Life, understanding that Daming's duty involved far more than standing watch. There were terrible, vicious beasts like Dtion and other super enforcers with cultivation of at least 200,000 years, and a mysterious silver dragon king of unfathomable strength. A direct confrontation would be unwise now. He sighed softly inwardly, then respected Da Ming's decision. "Next time I'll bring A Ru and Xiao Wu to see you," he promised. Da Ming lowered his massive bullhead. Goodbye, Uncle Qing." He waved his huge green tail in farewell. Leaving the core area, Yu Qing handed the lead to Ah Yin. With her as a living map, the trio set off north toward the blue-silver forest. Their pace was leisurely rather than hurried. They sometimes let Ming out of the codex to stretch and get fresh air, and along the way, they stopped to admire scenery and record a few species they hadn't encountered earlier. 7 or 8 days later, they reached the Stardew mountain range. Standing on a small hillside, Ah Yin pointed to the vast forest nestled in the mountains, a shimmer of blue light covering the treetops. "Look, that's my home," she said, excitement and nostalgia in her voice. The blue-silver forest, the common home of all blue-silver grass spirit beasts and many plant spirit beasts. Yu Qing looked in the direction she indicated, a note of wonder in his tone. "I've only heard of such a place. I never expected to see it myself. This is my first time here." "Let's go." Ah Yin could barely contain herself. She took Yu Qing's hand, then transformed into a stream of pale blue light and led the way, eager to introduce them to Little Blue, the most talented child of the blue-silver grass clan after her. Zirui smiled at Ah Yin's rare girlish excitement and matched her pace. As they entered the forest, the air itself seemed to vibrate with life. A heady scent of plants washed over them, invigorating and refreshing. Blue-silver grass carpeted the ground like blue velvet. Many had condensed significant spirit power and become true plant spirit beasts. Vines, ancient trees, rare flowers, and exotic herbs filled the forest, living side by side with the blue-silver grass in a thriving plant kingdom. Most were over 100 years old, and some were 1,000-year or even 10,000-year existences. The moment Ah Yin, the blue-silver emperor, stepped into the woods, a miraculous scene unfolded. Every blue-silver grass, whether mature or not, seemed to answer a bloodline call. Leaves bent toward Ah Yin as if in worship of their sovereign. Other plant spirit beasts felt her presence too, swaying branches and emitting friendly, welcoming mental fluctuations. The whole forest seemed to cheer and stir with joy at the return of their emperor. They stepped into the blue-silver forest and were immediately wrapped in a faint, luminous blue. A gentle but powerful ripple of spirit force spread outward from every direction, like waves from a stone dropped in a still lake, washing over the three of them. There was no hostility in it, only a warm, indescribable joy, as if a long-traveled child had finally returned home and was being welcomed by the whole family. A clear mental voice, filled with reverence, spoke directly into Ah Yin's mind. "Welcome home, our emperor." Ah Yin's face softened, a nostalgic smile breaking across it. I'm back," she murmured. Her voice was quiet, but some inexplicable charm carried it through the forest. Instantly, the blue-silver grass swayed as if in greeting. Specks of blue starlight coalesced and spiraled together until they formed a semi-transparent mental shape in front of them. A little girl of 11 or 12, with flowing blue hair and a delicate porcelain face, an unmistakable miniature likeness of Ah Yin. Her large, sapphire eyes locked onto Ah Yin with fierce excitement and devotion. "Emperor!" she cried, rushing forward to embrace Ah Yin. Even though she was a spirit projection, the touch felt real, warm, and urgent. "We've missed you so much. You won't leave again, will you?" she asked, lifting her face to Ah Yin, her voice trembling between hope and anxiety. Ah Yin stroked the little girl's blue hair. "Little Blue, I've come back to prepare to take all of you to a new place," she said softly, "a place better suited to the blue-silver grass clan." Little Blue cocked her head in confusion. "A new place? Why? Isn't it good here? We've always lived here." Ah Yin smiled and indicated Yu Qing at her side. "Because that place is my husband's territory. The energy there is incredibly abundant, and the environment is perfect for plant spirit beasts." Little Blue leapt out of Ah Yin's arms as if stung. Her eyes went wide, her small face a portrait of disbelief. "Emperor, you have a husband?" She turned a scrutinizing, fierce gaze on Yu Qing as if he were a thief caught in the act. "You are the emperor's husband?" she demanded, putting her hands on her hips and trying to look intimidating. Human, I advise you. Before she could finish, Yin lightly tapped her forehead with one finger. Ouch! Little Blue yelped, crouched down and pouted, tears in her eyes. Emperor, you're bullying me again. Yin sighed at the sight of her lively, pure-hearted little sister and explained, Qing is the husband I chose. He's powerful and very kind to spirit beasts. More importantly, her tone turned solemn. He is a life attribute titled Douluo. With him, the Blue-Silver Grass clan will have protection and a brighter future. To reassure the overprotective Little Blue, Qing stepped forward. With a thought, brilliant emerald light flared up as his life golden leaf martial soul awakened. He activated his 7th spirit ability, Golden Leaf True Body, and emerald gold armor composed of countless golden leaves wrapped around him. Leaves hummed with dense life energy and drifted in a slow orbit. From him as the center, a gentle yet vast emerald life domain unfurled, bathing large swaths of the blue-silver grass in nourishing life aura. This is, Little Blue breathed, eyes wide. The pure life energy felt like a mother's embrace and sweet dew. She inhaled deeply and could feel every part of her bloom with vitality. Even though she was a spirit projection, she sensed her main body, the great blue-silver king tree rooted in the earth, hungrily drawing in the life energy within the domain. My growth speed feels so much faster inside this domain. Yin smiled. Do you see why I chose him? Little Blue's suspicion melted away and was replaced by giddy delight. She scratched her head sheepishly and laughed. The Emperor's judgment is always correct. I, Little Blue, am very satisfied with your husband. A flicker of attachment to the forest crossed her face, but her eyes shone with hope for the future. Okay, if it's the Emperor's decision, Little Blue agrees. We'll follow the Emperor. Led by Little Blue, the three of them went deeper into the forest to the heart of their holy land. There, the blue-silver great tree towered, an enormous deep azure tree with a thick trunk and a crown of lush branches, radiating overwhelming spirit fluctuations. Its aura signaled an age of 80,000 years. This tree was Little Blue's main body, an 80,000-year-old blue-silver king that had grown into the clan's guardian. Around it stood several slightly smaller blue-silver kings, each over 50,000 years old, like loyal sentinels protecting the heart of the clan. When these awakened blue-silver kings learned of the Emperor's plan to relocate the clan, their mental voices carried sadness and reluctance for their homeland. But after hearing Little Blue's description of Qing and the new territory, and because the Emperor's will was supreme, they accepted the decision. Their feelings toward a human like Qing were conflicted, instinctive wariness mixed with an irresistible attraction to his life aura, and so they chose to observe and accept quietly. After arranging the clan's migration, Yin approached Qing with a touch of apology in her eyes. Husband, I'm going to borrow the clan's strength to condense my 7th spirit ring, she said. It may take you a little longer. Qing squeezed her hand gently. It's fine. We have the time. Comforted by his support, Yin walked to the center of the densest patch of blue-silver grass, sat cross-legged, closed her eyes, and reached out with her mind to the forest. As her consciousness linked to the plant's 6 spirit rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black, glimmered beneath her. Then, miraculously, every blue-silver grass in the forest, ordinary stalks, cultivated spirit beasts, even the towering blue-silver kings began to emit tiny blue lights from their leaves. The lights streamed together like rivers converging around Yin, building into a massive, dazzling blue halo above her head. The halo spun and deepened in color, drawing in the surging lights until it suddenly contracted with a resonant hum. A black spirit ring, ink-dark with faint blue edges, pulsed and settled outside her 6th ring. Her 7th spirit ring had been born. Even more astonishing, the blue-silver grass that had given energy did not wither. Instead, under the feedback of Yin's blue-silver emperor aura, they grew lusher and more vibrant. Many stalks that had been stuck at an age bottleneck for years seized the opportunity to break through. When Yin opened her eyes, they shone with disbelief and elation. She rose and rushed into Qing's arms, her voice quivering. Husband, it worked. Thanks to the medicines and body tempering you helped me with, my body could handle a higher age spirit ring. This 7th ring, It's nearly 60,000 years. She lifted her head and her eyes glittered. As a life spirit ring, it's closely bound to my origin. It will keep growing stronger as my body improves. Yu Qing understood the significance. This was how Tongsan's fifth ring had been condensed in the original tale. Then your seventh ring could eventually evolve to 100,000 years, he said. Yin nodded proudly. Of course, as long as my physique keeps strengthening, it can. Pulled by his lover's excitement, Yu Qing cupped her cheek and promised with sober resolve, I'll make it happen. I won't just help your seventh ring reach 100,000 years. I'll make all your spirit rings reach 100,000 years. Yin's face flushed. She buried her head shyly and murmured, Husband, please don't use so much embarrassing knowledge to tempt me. The thought of the methods he implied, intimate training techniques to boost physique, made her both embarrassed and sweetly expectant. Yu Qing grinned and leaned close to her ear in a low voice. To reach the goal of all spirit rings at 100,000 years, we'll have to properly study the dual cultivation secret codex. The yin-yang power from combining yin-yang conjunction with dual cultivation is the most efficient way. We'll need to study it deeply. Yin turned an even deeper shade of crimson, but did not deny it. Over the next few days, Yu Qing used the Myriad Beasts Illustration Codex to carry out the large-scale migration. With Yin and Little Blue's help, the operation was smooth if meticulous. In 5 days, they transferred every blue-silver grass over 100 years old and awakened into spirit power, together with the soil they were rooted in, into the Myriad Beasts Illustration Codex's inner space. Yu Qing also recorded and took hundreds of rare plant spirit beasts that would be hard to find elsewhere. When the last faintly glowing moonlight grass was stored in the codex, the blue-silver forest that had been pulsing with blue light lay mostly bare, only the most common weeds and trees remaining. It looked quiet and a little desolate. Yin paused at the forest's edge, a trace of attachment and reluctance in her eyes. But when she thought of the new home, her melancholy turned to eager longing. Let's go, husband, she said, slipping her arm through Yu Qing's. He gripped her hand and nodded. Together, with Little Blue at their side, they took one last look at the place that had nurtured the Blue-Silver Emperor, then turned and walked toward their new home. 119. Black Scorpion, 3 ghosts leaving the Blue-Silver Forest. Yu Qing and his 2 companions headed north, crossing mountains and ridges, fording streams and rivers, and finally traversing the entire Star-Do Great Mountain Range to enter the kingdom of Haagen-Dazs. The local customs were a little different from the Heaven-Do Empire, and the architecture had a coarser, more unrestrained feel. For Yin, the route was full of memories. It was the very first road she had walked after taking human form and stumbling into the human world. Many towns and villages along the way still bore traces of her past presence. Husband, look over there! Yin pointed to a distant town, old-looking but bustling, with a nostalgic light in her eyes. That's the first human town I ever visited. I lived there for nearly 2 years back then. I learned most of my basic human common sense and tasted human food for the first time. Her voice held a girlish excitement and sentimentality. And here. When they reached a town she remembered, she added, I even saved a badly injured merchant on my travels. I used the Blue-Silver Emperor to heal his wounds. To thank me, he brought me home, hoping I'd become his family's physician. She laughed softly. But I was afraid of exposing myself then, so I slipped away secretly. Every time they passed someplace she'd once stayed, Yin became an excited little girl, pulling on Yu Qing's hand and chattering about her old experiences as if she wanted to share that solo exploration of the human world with her closest person. Yu Qing listened patiently, smiling gently and indulgently. Sometimes he would produce fine wine and delicate snacks from his storage spirit tool. The 3 would find a secluded spot with a pleasant view, sit on the ground, and listen to Yin's long-buried stories while enjoying the food and drink. Zirui was often drawn in by Yin's tales, some thrilling, some amusing, some tinged with sadness, and would listen intently, occasionally asking about details or expressing concern. They walked, looked, listened, and savored the journey, in no hurry and doing no dual cultivation, more like 3 close friends on a wandering trip. Unnoticed, More than half a month slid by, and they crossed the whole kingdom of Haagen-Dazs, arriving at the border with the Heaven Do Empire. On that day, they reached a three-way junction. Ah Yin pointed to two diverging paths and said softly, "Husband, if we head northwest from here, we'll get to Sylve City, the main city of the Kingdom of Sylves. But if we go due north," she paused, looking toward the horizon, "we'll reach Jialing Pass, known as the #1 pass under heaven." Yu Qing's gaze turned north as well, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Jialing Pass," he murmured, then made a decision. "Since we're already here, let's go see how majestic this so-called #1 pass under heaven really is. After that, we'll swing by Sylve City and rest for a day." We'll do as husband says." Ah Yin and Zirui replied in unison. Smiling at each other, they continued north. The closer they drew to Jialing Pass, the bleaker the landscape became. The air seemed heavy with the metallic scent of iron and blood. Travelers and merchant caravans thinned out. Those they did see moved hurriedly, wary and tense. After another half-day's travel, the colossal silhouette of the continent-famous pass, sprawling across the mountains like a titanic dragon, filled their view. Just as they prepared to take in the sight, all three of them frowned and stopped in their tracks. Several strands of cold, viscous, malicious killing intent shot toward them from behind like maggots on a carcass. Although faint from the distance, the predatory madness in it made Yu Qing and Ah Yin, both life system spirit masters, feel distinctly uneasy. The source of the killing intent was closing in at a frightening speed. Sure enough, a green streak of light, blazing with spirit power fluctuations and as fast as lightning, raced across the sky like a meteor. Inside it, a slender figure was barely visible. From the intensity of the spirit power, it was clearly a spirit Douluo. The violently fluctuating wind element around the figure suggested an agility attack type renowned for speed. And yet the life force it gave off was as fragile as a candle flame, like it could be snuffed out at any moment. The figure was badly injured and fleeing while overdrawing her life. Just as she came within 100 meters of Yu Qing's group, the green streak faltered, and the figure fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string. Thud! A heavy, muffled crash, and the sound of bone breaking echoed as she slammed onto the hard ground, kicking up dust. Yu Qing narrowed his eyes as he took in the fallen person, a woman of about 30, her combat suit stained with blood so heavily its original color was lost. Her body was crisscrossed with hideous wounds, some still bleeding, staining the ground beneath her. Her face was paper pale and her breathing shallow. She'd lost consciousness and was in critical condition. "Should we save her?" Ah Yin asked softly, pity and sympathy in her eyes. Yu Qing looked toward the source of the killing intent and nodded after a moment. "Save her," he said, "but first we need to see exactly who's hunting her." They didn't rush to treat the woman. Instead, they stood where they were, eyes fixed on the distance, waiting for the pursuers. They didn't have to wait long. In a dozen breaths, 3 jet-black streaks of light, radiating dense evil qi, tore through the sky like soul-reaping chains from hell and arrived at high speed. A powerful, malevolent pressure rolled over the area. Judging by the spirit power, Yu Qing's brows twitched. 1 rank 91 titled Douluo, he thought. 2 rank 87 spirit Douluos. A lineup like this already surpasses the lower 4 sects. The evil qi and resentment clinging to them, almost material in its density, were startling. The thought flashed through his mind, fallen spirit masters. He recalled the fallen Douluo who'd hunted Aru in the Sunset Forest. Counting that last one, this was the second fallen spirit master at titled Douluo rank he'd encountered. Despite Spirit Hall's attempts to suppress and purge them, there were apparently more high-level fallen spirit masters in this era than he'd imagined. The 3 black lights solidified into 3 men in tight black clothing, faces cruel and snake-eyed. They landed beside the unconscious woman, appraising her blood-stained body like predators eyeing fresh prey. "Keep running!" The tall, thin spirit Douluo with a hideous scar by his eye cackled like an owl. "No prey targeted by us. 3 ghosts of the Black Scorpion has ever escaped. Wouldn't it be better to obediently become our resource?" A shorter, stockier Spiru licked his dry lips lecherously. "Such a beautiful woman. After the 3 brothers have had our fun, your flesh and soul will blend perfectly with ours." "Heh!" Tsk, look at this blood-soaked look. Delicious, the tall one said, rubbing his hands, impatient. Big brother, I'm starving. The leader, a titled Douluo, said nothing, but his cold, emotionless gaze and the denser evil chi that radiated from him were more terrifying than the other's crude words. Coughing, the woman on the ground woke at their voices. She hacked up blood and glared at them with eyes full of hatred and despair. You demons who flout human morality and slaughter towns and villages, she rasped. Retribution will come. Spirit Hall will not let you off. Heh heh, Spirit Hall. The tall, thin man laughed as if he'd heard the world's biggest joke. You don't. Before he could finish, the ground erupted. Countless thick vines shimmered with purple-gold light, and starlight burst up out of nowhere. They shot outward, instantly binding and wrapping the three ghosts of the Black Scorpion into a massive purple-gold ball. The sudden attack silenced the tall man and stunned the other two, and the woman on the ground, into shock. A golden vine uncoiled like a spiritual snake and wrapped precisely around the woman's waist. With a gentle tug, it pulled her away from the three demons and brought her before Yu Qing's group. Only when she landed by them did she fully register the turn of events. She tried to lift her head and looked at Yu Qing's party with shock and gratitude. You are. Yu Qing smiled gently and reassuringly. We're just passing travelers. As soon as he finished, a violent explosion of spirit power erupted from ahead. Dark spirit power had blown the purple-gold vine ball apart from within, shattering it into countless fragments that flew everywhere. The three ghosts of the Black Scorpion reappeared, a little disheveled but furious and even more hideous. Who's there? The tall, thin spirit Douluo roared. Which bastard dares rescue someone right in front of us? The three ghosts of the Black Scorpion. Come out and die! Yu Qing stepped forward lazily, a playful smile on his face. I'm the one who saved her. His tone turned cold and sharp. But since your luck's been rotten enough to run into me today, I'm more than happy to send you on your way and turn the three ghosts of the Black Scorpion into the three dead ghosts of the Black Scorpion. The three ghosts fixed their murderous gazes on Yu Qing. When they tried to probe his spirit power rank, they were shocked. This youth, who looked like a frail scholar, gave off no spirit power at all, as if he were an ordinary commoner. Yet the two women beside him, both stunning and with distinct temperaments, clearly radiated spirit power at the spirit saint rank. The bizarre contrast sent an involuntary flicker of alarm through the originally confident three ghosts of the Black Scorpion. Ah, Yin, Yu Qing said, eyes calmly fixed on the three ghosts of the Black Scorpion ahead, as he gave a quiet instruction to his wife without turning his head. I'll leave this young woman's injuries to you. As for these three dogs in front of us, his voice suddenly chilled, you don't need to worry. Ah Yin nodded at once. Without hesitation, a brilliant blue halo bloomed around her. In the next instant, a towering stalk of blue-silver grass, like sapphire carved into plant form, its leaves streaked with faint golden veins, rose behind her, emitting an aura of elegance, dignity, and endless vitality. The blue-silver emperor spirit had manifested around Ah Yin, and from the surrounding soil, countless ordinary blades of blue-silver grass sprang up, emerald green and alive. They bent and swayed as if summoned by their sovereign, releasing dense, pure life energy that took shape as streams of soft green light and poured into the heavily wounded woman on the ground, gently repairing her damaged meridians and organs and easing her pain. This is... The pale woman's face broke into astonishment as the healing accelerated. Such miraculous healing. Can blue silvergrass really have this power? She whispered, eyes wide. In her memory, it had been a common, and almost worthless spirit herb, yet its life energy now rivaled that of many top-tier healing spirit masters. The three ghosts of the Black Scorpion, newly freed from the Zirui vines, also felt the life aura Ah Yin radiated. Like a bright moon in a dark night, it dazzled them. The rage and killing intent in their eyes shifted instantly to a burning, greedy hunger. They looked at Ah Yin like wolves eyeing a fresh lamb. Such dense life origin. The tall, gaunt spirit Douluo licked his dry lips, madness glittering in his eyes. Big brother, second brother, if we devour her, the three of us could advance. Maybe Big Brother could even take a peek at rank 95 Super Douluo. The short, fat spirit Douluo panted, excitement barely contained. Even the silent, titled Douluo, normally the coldest, felt a fierce longing flare in his gaze. They were about to blindside Yin when Qing, who had stood motionless, finally moved. He didn't summon a spirit or unleash any massive spirit power. He raised his right hand idly. Purple starlight gathered along his arm like living fire, congealing in his palm. In the blink of an eye, the light formed into a colossal starlight handprint built from countless star fragments. It shot through the air with a silent rush. Qing's self-created spirit ability, Star Luo Hand, appeared above the three ghosts of the Black Scorpion and slammed down like a divine palm, trapping all three inside. What? What's happening? My spirit power. Why? Can't I feel it? Damn it, even my spirit can't be summoned. Seized by the Star Luo Hand, the three ghosts' faces twisted in panic. Their once surging spirit power had solidified and fallen silent, like a river frozen mid-flow. No matter how they shouted or forced it, they could not draw a single trace of power. Even their links to their own spirits had been cut by an invisible, overwhelming force. The sensation of falling from exalted spirit masters to helpless mortals, of becoming lambs at a slaughter, rushed over them like icy water. They stared at the young man before them, who showed no outward spirit fluctuation, eyes filled with terror. If not for the purple light on Qing's arm, they might have thought divine punishment had befallen them. Spirit bone skill? The leading titled Douluo roared, voice raw and trembling. Who? Who are you? Qing did not answer. He closed his eyes for a moment, then snapped them open. A vast concept unfurled from his body, deep and mysterious as the starry sky, warping the space around him. His black eyes turned into brilliant silver galaxies. Tiny stars glittered, flowed, and died within them, as if the whole universe were concentrated in his gaze. This was the galaxy true intent of the divine technique Falling Night Galaxy. Though its power and range were smaller than when he had used it against Bosashi in the ocean, its sense of depth and vastness was undiminished. Qing slowly pressed his right hand fingers together like the edge of a blade. The purple starlight on his arm and the galaxy phantom in his eyes streamed toward his fingertips, and between them, a transparent saber, some 3 feet long, condensed, as if carved from pure starlight and the galaxy itself. It had no physical mass, yet it radiated an absolute razor-like sharpness, the galaxy saber intent. Just right, Qing murmured, a faint curve at the corner of his mouth. I'll see if this saber I've newly comprehended is sharp enough. He gave a seemingly casual, light swing toward the three ghosts still trapped in the Star Luo Hand. There was no roar, no dazzling display, only a whisper-thin silver thread, almost invisible, cleaved the air and passed through the three bodies. But in the minds of the three ghosts, it was another world. The moment the saber moved, they felt the entire landscape vanish and be replaced by a boundless, brilliant silver galaxy. Ancient stars turned and burned around them, exuding a crushingly old aura. They felt themselves reduced to dust, suspended in the universe. From the deepest part of that cosmos, a galaxy saber light bloomed, unfathomably beautiful, and it brushed over them. There was no pain, no terror, only silence as their consciousness, souls, and bodies quietly decomposed and dissolved into that light. When Qing finished his swing, the massive Star Luo Hand dispersed. The three ghosts of the Black Scorpion left no ash, no trace, erased utterly from the world. Qing let the galaxy saber intent at his fingertips fade. The galaxy within his eyes slowly receded, returning to their normal black.